What's your tribe? What's your gang? What's your tribe? What's your set? What's your gang? What's your tribe? What's your set? What's your gang?
Hey V, line
Say,
them up.
what's your tribe, little nigga? What's your tribe, little nigga? Pressure apply, little nigga. When we slide, little nigga. If you a $5 nigga, don't get tried, little nigga. What's your tribe, little nigga? What's your tribe, little nigga? Pressure apply, little nigga. When we slide, little nigga. If you a $5 nigga, don't get tried, little nigga. It's a sleeve down movement, we ain't jabbing shit. But if niggas want box, then we jabbing shit. Uncivilized, we be on some savage shit. And if you disrespect this shit, it could get tragic quick. Boy, we smoking on that wop, that's that Walter Platt. Edgar Hoover in the wood and we ain't coughing yet. If you a N.A. nigga, then you not a threat. If you a AA nigga, you get my respect. Aboriginal, all the ops pitiful. Colonize your mind, then they act like they got rid of you. Truth come to the light, they'll fuck around and finish you. Copper color Indian, the proof is individual. I said the proof is individual. SOE, shit is getting critical. Better mask up, nigga, or be been a fool. And it's still trap gang, you know that been a crew. A alpha male don't just provide, little nigga. He create governments and get supply, little nigga. All that marching ain't gon' work. You ain't tired, little nigga. Quick the G, check that nigga like, what's your tribe, little nigga? What's your tribe, little nigga? What's your tribe, little nigga? Pressure apply, little nigga. When we slide, little nigga. If you a $5 nigga, don't get tried, little nigga. What's your tribe, little nigga? What's your tribe, little nigga? Pressure apply, little nigga. When we slide, little nigga. If you a $5 nigga, don't get tried, little nigga.
Never have no tent on they don't come from where we come from. Copper ain't your nature, this ain't your land, this ain't your nation. They say we lost our language when we went through simulation. Y'all went through simulation, how the fuck y'all know the language? This to mirror, fuck these natives. Atlantis till we vanish. First on Turtle Island, still the first ones on this planet. They talk on the net, but if we met, they show they panties. When it come to action, bitch, we slide like Michael Jackson. Bullets playing tag, this ain't no Facebook post. They was damn bad before they came to the coast. Crackers turn to jackers, all our friends became foes. 100 years later, back on top of you hoes. Like, what's your tribe, little nigga?
What's your tribe, little nigga? Pressure apply, little nigga. When we slide, little nigga. If you a $5 nigga, don't get tried, little nigga. What's your tribe, little nigga? What's your tribe, little nigga? Pressure apply, little nigga. When we slide, little nigga. If you a $5 nigga, don't get tried, little nigga.
Yup. Wild Indian, yeah.
Hey V, line them up.
I'm a wild Indian, you know I go crazy. Ain't really Indian, that boy fugazi. I just keep it player, you could never play me. You got an ass so fat, girl, let's make a baby. And another one. Then I'm back to the trap, I'm trying to double some. She a bad woke chick and I love her tongue. We some jurisdiction boys, we some 101s. Look, don't compare me to no Martin dog, I'm like Malcolm X. Job about our freedom, we'll leave a crack and stretch. Round of applause, boy, you know we clapping text. Chucky dog, child play, yeah, nigga, that's what's next. Open up the cans just like Arizona. Pull up masked up like we got the Rona. We set up jurisdictions when we buy the corner. How you claiming that's your hood and you not the owner? Be the B, I just pulled up in the need for speed. Free the land, tell the colonizers that they need to leave. Wild Indian up in my veins, you know how we bleed. You ain't gotta lie about who we is, dog, just keep it G. We at war, we can't keep the peace. Since we at war, gotta keep the peace. Whack a cone, then I meditate. Should I need to breathe? Keep an Olmec head when we slide, dog, cause we the shit.
Like like my niggas said, bitch, we the sheets. I can't keep the peace. If it pop off, then I want a piece. I'm just on release. I'm in go mode, motherfucker thief. In these streets like EBT, when we at war, make peace with me. I don't give a damn, understand. Fuck who stole this land, white or black or tan. Understand, it's fuck who stole this land. Might have seen me get a little buddy these hands. He wasn't no abo man. A lot of these dudes is Sambo man. They full of shit like my ammo can. What they call an N-word out the wrong mouth, that's an ambulance. Wild Indian, get it in advance, or you can post date it. Ask around, I'm the most hated. Straight sacred, they stole acreage. Yo, ape shit, show ain't shit. It won't be televised, I don't tape shit.
Be the beat, I just pulled up in the need for speed. Free the land, tell the colonizers that they need to leave. Wild Indian up in my veins, you know how we bleed. You ain't gotta lie about who we is, dog, just keep it G. We at war, we can't keep the peace. Since we at war, gotta keep the peace. Whack a cone, then I meditate. Should I need to breathe? Keep a Olmec head when we slide, dog, cause we the sheep.
Salute, 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 salute. Grand Rising, top of the morning. This is your brother Aboriginal Power Man. You already know this is another Wake and Bake show, and we're going to be dealing with some heat today, man. Y'all see the title. Y'all see what's going on. Mashpee Indians were classified as Negro in color. We're going to talk about some of that. We're going to get into it a little bit, man. We're going to get into it a little bit, but before we do that, I need y'all to tap in with the tap in, hit that like button, share the live stream, and most importantly, family, support the channel. For those that was expecting a Sunday class, we did not do a Sunday class yesterday. For everybody that did purchase tickets, I did refund everybody back. So if everyone that purchased tickets did not receive your refund, let me know if you didn't receive your refund. We didn't do it because we didn't have the correct amount of people to support. I think I wanted a total of 15 people to support. I think we had like 6 people to support, 5, and I just refunded everybody money. So, you know, shout out to everybody that's in the building. Shout out to everybody that's in the building. I refunded everybody. Did you send me in money yesterday, the other day, Chicken Harmony Roots? Did y'all just let me go and check this shit out. Friday's bill, Chicken Harmony Roots, run it up. Appreciate the support. Appreciate the support, sis. Shout out to my brother Voodoo Child for supporting the channel and supporting the cause as well. One of the top supporters over here on this platform. Shout out to my sister Chica Humdy Roots, one of the top supporters of this platform. We do appreciate the love and support this Grand Rising. But yes, y'all can expect next Sunday's class to be on point. Hopefully we'll get the correct amount of supporters. You feel what I'm saying? But yeah, man, I still got that PowerPoint lined up. And this is just something I want to do on the brief. We want to talk about some of the Mashpee Indians and how some of these people were classified as Negro, black, and colored. You know what I mean? So this is really the message to the blacks, to my Negro brothers, to my FBA brethren. Genealogy is key. Have these conversations with your ancestors. Look into your own genealogical records. Have a clear understanding and overstanding of your heritage and understand who you are as the Aboriginal Indigenous peoples throughout this plane of existence. So, but before we get into this, we got to finish this thing off with the rest of the intro. Y'all already know the vibes. Go ahead and share the live. Hit that like button. It's going to put us in the algorithm. Sharing it around so everybody can see it. Put this on your TikTok. Post this on your Instagram. Post this on your Facebook. It's your brother Aboriginal Power. We'll be right back in just a second.
Yeah, rhyme so dope, my eyes eyes low. When you move like God, the time slow. I came back for the blacks and John Doe's. Crack open them land patents, let go of them townhomes. What's a native to a native? Eat $5 dough if he not melanated. Pale faces got you waiting on a savior. Sending prayers up, he texting back on vacation. Yeah, God's children. Give all your praise to Jesus, but how God feeling? He say put no one before him in divine image. It's you with God of Christians. I got a vision, but niggas ain't gotta listen, so they don't. We came from the soil, wasn't fucking with no boats. Bible took our spirit, English potted on our homes. Tribal families turned on us, don't act like y'all don't know. But fuck them and they grudges. We was something turned to nothing. And now we nothing's turned to somethings. Reincarnation of ancients, fresh up out the oven. This the message to the black man. 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 Shooters on my roof, lawyers in the coop. We can never die, bitch, we bulletproof. This the message to the black man. This the message to the black man. Say you wasn't slaves, you was prisoners of war. You stop wasting your time, these other bitches ain't important. You ain't meditating, you ain't mating with the sauce. Like what the fuck's a noodle if you ain't painted with the sauce? I find it hard to trust a pastor who rather side with the master, who preaching we should submit while getting murdered and captured. About how we should wait on God is never our vernacular. They get paid and praised by the dollar long as they keeping us stagnant. And niggas think they woke, huh? Like you could change a whole world through a vote, huh? Like slave masters willing to let they slave go, huh? That slave master was probably your kinfolk, huh? History in reverse, a black king strategy. When blacks were your majesty, they always hide your pyramids but point to where the castles be. Aristocracies with your last name patent accurately. Yeah. And I ain't even tell half the shit. Like, I ain't even tell a quarter of the shit. I'm just getting started. Y'all niggas rap about busting guns and all this weird shit. I'm trying to get my people back, nigga.
Shout out to everybody that's in the building, man. What is the good old big deal? Make sure y'all hit that like button, share the live stream. Peace and love. Most importantly, family, make sure y'all guys enjoy y'all morning. Hopefully you guys have a very productive, grand rising and a start to your day. Make sure you guys do not work too hard. If you're traveling right now, be safe in your daily commute. You understand what I'm saying? We want the family to be safe as possible. You understand? So, yeah, shout out to all the family that's in the building. Go ahead and drop a fire emoji in the chat. That's going to let me know that you guys can hear me loud and clear in this Wake and Bake show. You understand? We want to make sure we're loud and clear in this Wake and Bake show. So, yeah, man, I kind of want to start this thing off with a little introduction video, and then we're going to get into some of the sources that I have pulled up for you guys, so you already know how we coming. But how y'all feeling this grand rising? And it's only right. This ain't official Wake and Bake show until we shout the family out that came in to shout me out until I light this motherfucking backwood up. I just want that to be clear. So we're going to get into some of this Afro-Indigenous history, aka Aboriginal Indigenous history. You know, there's been a lot of confusion, reconstruction, especially after the Civil War, of how America is depicted. The history of America has been totally changed after the Civil War, mostly through the Daughters of Confederacy. So we're going to get right into this heat. If y'all ready to rock the house out, go ahead and support the channel. You know what I mean? Go ahead and support the channel. Drop a fire emoji and come on in the building and smack that like button for your favorite nephew in the building. Hey, man, you say, man, y'all already know it's another Wake and Bake show. Let's go. Keys on the track, on the track, on the track, on the track, on the track.
For the stats, I be beating the odds. In the blood, it be making me calm. Ride the turbines just like I'm Saddam. I'ma blow it just like I'm a bomb. I'ma leave it.
One, two. But this is our presentation on Afro-Indigenous histories and identity. This is just kind of a brief overview of what I'll be talking about today. I'm going to give you some general background about Native and Afro-Native people. I'm going to share some Afro-Native history, some ways to support Afro-Native relatives, and then also some trivia. I also identify as Afro-Native, so the way that I discuss, the way that I share often involves.
Now, by the way, this is a Negro. This is a Negro lady. So let's get right into the defining indigenous and Native American lineage.
Origins and any of the original peoples of North, South America, Central America who maintain tribal affiliation or community attachment. We also have the second definition, which is also for American Indian Alaska Native, but this one comes from the Bureau of Indian Affairs. And this is someone who has a blood degree and is recognized as such by a federally recognized tribe or village as an enrolled tribal member and or the United States. So these are a little bit different from each other, and that the first one covers anyone from the top of Canada to the bottom of South America. American Indian Alaska Native really is specific to the United States context. Another thing that you might hear people say, you might hear me say, are like Native American or Native. Those really are terms that are mostly specific to the second definition and really talking about Native people who are part of the United States. Another thing you might also hear is citizen versus member. So you can see in the second definition, they say an enrolled tribal member. I introduced myself as a citizen of the Mashpee Wampanoag tribe. They mean the same thing, but essentially what the difference is that when I say I'm a citizen, I really am trying to assert my sovereignty as a Wampanoag person. Just like being a citizen of the United States, I vote in elections, I have culture, there's language, there's a lot that goes into the word of citizenship, and also really just showing that we have a government-to-government relationship with the United States government. So kind of a brief overview of these.
And so she's giving you the contemporary general senses of how her nation operates, with her being part of the Wampanoag Nation. And I'm not for sure which particular clan she is, but we're going to be talking about the Mashpee and other Wampanoag nations and how their identity struggle throughout the history of America has been defined by their perseverance. And we're going to talk about them fighting for their identity, them being misclassified, reclassified, and ultimately fighting in court, losing in court, fighting in court again, and ultimately winning in federal court, getting federal recognition. We're going to get into all that in the back history of the Wampanoag, aka the Mashpee Indians. So shout out to everybody in the building. We got a long, lengthy show for you guys today. So hey, take a ride. Let's get to
different definitions. And as I talk, I'll talk about how these definitions have a different impact on what we're talking about. So there are Afro-Indigenous people everywhere in the world. There are so many people who have mixed lineages of the indigenous people of that place. And
you absolutely right, Al Dave Bay 777. The Yamasee, aka the Seminoles, or aka the Carolina Indians, because it wasn't just the Yamasee and the Seminoles. The Yamasee later on became a comprised of a lot of those indigenous tribes in the Carolinas, along with the Seminoles. So people like the Gullah, people like the Tuscarora, people like the Petey, the Lumbee tribe, and some of the eastern border Chickamauga as well. So this was a comprised Negro Indians that band together and created their own band to fight against colonial oppression and some of the back trading of some of their own tribal members. Some of their own tribal members actually turned on the tribe and sided with a lot of the British loyalists, not actually the British regiment, but the British loyalists. But we're going to get right back into some more of this information, bro, family. Let's get it.
There are about 9.7 million people who identify as American Indian or Alaska Native alone or in combination with another racial or ethnic group as of the 2020 census. And this makes up about 3% of the population. This is a dramatic jump from the 2010 census, which had about 5.2 million people that identified as AIAN. And the reason for this is not because there was a large population boom, it's because they changed the definition for American Indian Alaska Native. So
right, and a lot of people weren't able to claim their indigenous heritage based off of this blood quantum or this paper bagging test. But a lot of these people of the Wampanoag Nation are in fact Negro people. Their people were classified as colored Negro and sometimes Black in census records.
it used to be that more restrictive one, which was really just for federally recognized tribal members. But then when they expanded it again to include Canada and South America, it really drastically increased the amount of people that were included in that. We also have Native Hawaiians. There are about 1.6 million people who are Native Hawaiian as of 2020, and these are people that are not included in the AIN category. In terms of thinking about where people are, most Native people actually live outside of their tribal lands. So about 87% of people don't live on tribal lands, which makes sense because only about half of tribes even have reservation land, and about 60% of people live in urban areas. There are 575 federally recognized tribes here in the United States and about 60 state recognized tribes.
Hey, family, we got 30 people listening in right now on YouTube. I need everybody listening in to smack that like button. Go double check to see if you hit that like button, family, and do your nephew one more favor by sharing this live stream on your TikTok, your Twitter, your Instagram, your Facebook, or your Snapchat. Share the live stream. Each one, teach one. Shout out to the true Americans, the Aboriginal Indigenous peoples of this land. Shout out to all my FBAs
government
locking in on. Shout out to all my FBAs that's locking in on their lineage and genealogy too, because I see y'all doing y'all work too, man. Shout out to y'all.
And then we have federal recognition, which is also called federal acknowledgement. And this engenders certain rights and protections for a recognized tribe, including limited sovereign immunity and powers of self-government. So this is, again, a lot of legal jargon. What does that actually mean? Especially when we're talking, within higher education or maybe like the Native people that you see in your day-to-day life. So what it does mean is that if you're a citizen or a member of a federally recognized tribe, there are certain things you can access. So one of the biggest ones is healthcare. So the Indian Health Service, which is part of the Department of Health and Human Services, was created because the federal government has.
So a lot of people that's claiming to be Indian American Indian and want to get back to your rights, these are some of the benefits that you guys should be definitely enduring. Let's skip it up a little bit so we can get to the intersectionality.
That oppressions are interlinked and cannot be solved alone. So I just want you to keep that in mind as I share a little bit about Afro-Native people and, again, like the overall context of intersectionality in Native communities. So I want to do a little bit of interactive stuff towards the end, so we're going to test it out now. So the question that I have for you all is, how do you define Afro-Native and or Afro-Indigenous? There are no wrong answers. And also, if you all are afraid to put something in the chat, that is perfectly okay too. As you probably just saw, I will share a video with you shortly. Let me try this one more time. That's okay. I will let this video share with you instead what this person feels Afro-Indigenous looks like and what.
If African people are indigenous to Africa, then why do we have the term Afro-Indigenous?
Indigenous people are the first or the original people of a given area whose traditions, language, and ways of living predates colonization.
Because the definition formed through colonization.
Area whose tradition.
So look at this. This is an indigenous, federally recognized Wampanoag member. And also this lady up here in the corner is as well. These people were reclassified as colored and Negro and had a fight for their true identity in the Supreme Court. Now, this is what we would call a black lady, a Negro woman. You know what I'm saying? Some might even say African American. But in fact, this is an Aboriginal Indigenous American.
Language, and ways of living predates colonization.
Because the definition formed through colonization, the indigenous peoples of Africa have long been defined as African and racialized as Black.
While the indigenous identity is typically used in the context of the original peoples of the Americas and Oceania.
Though the term indigenous can be used anywhere in the world for people whose ancestors are from the land in which they live.
For decades, the prefix.
Now, by the way,
where in the world?
This lady is also an indigenous Wampanoag member. She's of the Shinnecock Nation. She's from the Shinnecock, another Wampanoag speaking people. So just look at the identity. We're showing you real time in today's term, federally recognized Negro indigenous people.
of the Americas and Oceania.
Though the term indigenous can be used anywhere in the world for people whose ancestors are from the land in which they live.
For decades, the prefix Afro has been used to name African heritage, and since the 1970s, it has been used alongside the term Native or Indigenous to express.
I just want to make sure y'all understanding what's going on real quick, family. For the family that's in here, or do y'all understanding what's going on? Do y'all see the obvious facts? If y'all see that these people will be classified as Black, Negro, to color in historical context, emoji in the chat. Come on, man. These are the channels. These are the bills that y'all got to support, man. If y'all like these type of wake and bakes, we can keep these things coming. Make sure y'all support the movement, man. Let's get right back into it.
The term indigenous can be used anywhere in the world for people whose ancestors are from the land in which they live.
For decades, the prefix Afro has been used to name African heritage, and since the 1970s, it has been used alongside the term Native or Indigenous to express our full identities.
Afro-Indigenous or Afro-Native people have a combination of these lineages, but there is no single definition. For example,
I myself am both Afro-Ecuadorian from the African diaspora of Abya Yala, or so-called Latin America, and indigenous to the Cañari Nation of the South Andes of Ecuador. Both of my lineages and territories have astonishing stories of resilience, and I am proud to be a union of the two.
I grew up in a household with a father who identified himself as African American and a mother who identified herself as Shinnecock. They raised me to embrace both sides of my family lineage. I wasn't familiar with the term Afro-Indigenous, so all my life, I identified myself as to who I am from my family lineage.
I'm a descendant of the Menominee Nation and Oneida Nation of Wisconsin. My maternal grandmother is an enrolled member of the Oneida Nation, born on the Menominee Reservation. My father is African American, raised in Africatown, the historic Mobile, Alabama, a community founded by the last Africans trafficked into the United States. Identifying as Afro-Indigenous allows me to honor both lineages, embracing their beauty and revolutionary spirit while challenging colonial constructs that sought to divide them.
The term Afro-Indigenous or Afro-Native resonates deeply as someone with one Black parent, African American, and one Seminole parent, Native American. It acknowledges both sides of my heritage and the history that connects them.
Historians estimate that by 1860, up to 15% of people in nations including Cherokee, Seminole, and Choctaw were of African descent. Many Black American families in the United States have family oral histories of Indigenous heritage.
Notice that she tried to slide in and say African descent. No, not African descent. Afro-Indigenous descent. If Africans are indigenous to Africa, that means that the Negro people of this land are indigenous to this area, aboriginal to this land. See, she's using African while everybody else is using Afro. She's off code.
Connects them.
Historians estimate that by 1860, up to 15% of people in nations including Cherokee, Seminole, and Choctaw were of African descent. Many Black American families in the United States have family oral histories of Indigenous heritage, including mine, but may not have formal records due to the legacy of enslavement. Many nations have made efforts to include Black Americans with Indigenous heritage, which has fostered healing within and between our communities.
Our ancestors paved the way for our existence today.
Many escaped Africans found refuge with the Seminoles in Florida that created bonds that shaped our histories.
And in many cases, there are shared histories of resisting colonial and white supremacist forces.
In Abya Yala, the African diaspora descendants of West Africans have historically allied with indigenous nations to resist colonization and foster unique cultural exchanges and communities, while indigenous nations for generations have created a strong sense of identity to their territories.
Afro-Indigenous people sometimes face challenges in having our full identities recognized and respected within and between communities.
We should always honor how people self-identify rather than assuming someone is Afro-Indigenous or identifies with the term based upon how they look. As in all cases, just because we may have similar skin colors does not mean we have the same story.
Afro-Native or Afro-Indigenous isn't just about fractions and percentages. It's about the lived experience, connections, community, and belonging.
Together, we honor the dual resistance of our ancestors, defending indigenous sovereignty, honoring histories and traditions, and protecting the land.
So this speaks volumes, you know, it speaks volumes to what's going on around our people. And they keep using mixed and all this. No, you're just Afro-Indigenous. And I believe that's where a lot of the confusion actually comes from. But I want to get into some of these particular books right here and some of the history of the Mashpee Indian. Let's run it back just a little bit so we can get right into it. But I'm also going to give you a rundown after this as well. Like I said, this is just like an introduction before we get into some of the sources I accumulated and researched for this particular Wake and Bake show this morning. You feel me? Because I know y'all be on your way to work. Y'all getting up. Y'all getting dressed. You taking the morning doo-doo. You feel what I'm saying? You're getting ready to roll out the door to start your day. And I know y'all like to hear some of this fire information. So yeah, I'm dropping this heat for y'all this Grand Rising. Be safe, be aware, stay vigilant, stay dangerous. And some of y'all wash y'all motherfucking hands before y'all get up out of here. All right.
To convert a bunch of Native people, well, first Native people English, and then teach the Native people about Christianity. A lot of them decided, let's not go through the trouble of English, let's just teach them about Christianity in the Wampanoag language. And that actually ended up being advantageous for my people because that meant that the people got to stay there. We got to become a praying town. So people weren't removed from their lands, they got to stay on their land. But around the 1970s, this town of Mashpee told these people that had been living there for millennia, hey, you haven't been paying taxes on your land, you need to get out of here, pretty much. So the Mashpee Wampanoag tribe ended up suing to say, you know, what do you mean we haven't been paying for our land? Like, this has always been our land. There's nothing to pay for. Like, the land is ours and we are the land.
Right. Like, they just gonna create a federal tax. Like, hey, you ain't been paying for this land, nigga. Pay for some shit that I ain't gotta pay for. This is my land. The land is paid for with blood, sweat, and tears, with birthright and pure sovereignty. Hillbilly.
So they ended up suing, and while many Wampanoag people end up losing their homes, that is how we ended up kind of getting some reservation land. In 2007 is when Mashpee became a federally recognized tribe. So in my lifetime, my tribe became federally recognized. And I say this to say that, you know, there are almost 600 federally recognized tribes, and it is not a process that is easy. It's not a process that is taken on lightly. This has only happened within the past 19 years. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that a lot of Mashpee people, a lot of Wampanoag people, and really a lot of people from the New England area look like me. They're a little bit darker because of these past things that I found, because we were stops on the Underground Railroad, because we have this longer sustained history with colonization. As early as the 1600s, there are enslaved Africans that are interacting with Wampanoag people. We were also whalers. So
there they go with the enslaved African shit. And they never even used the term enslaved African in those particular years. In the early 1839s, they were strictly using the term Negro. But we didn't know that some of the Mashpee, who was 100% tribal members, were being also classified as Negro. So how do you distinguish between an alleged African Negro and an alleged indigenous Negro? You understand what I'm saying? There's really no slave reports in that particular area. Most of the enslaved people directly have this indigenous ties. They were on earlier census records as indigenous peoples.
Because of that, sometimes the men would go off to whale and they would just never come home. So that means that sometimes you have to marry somebody else. But there are so many different reasons why we look the way that we look. But that doesn't make us any less Native. That doesn't make us any less Wampanoag. But you can see the questions of that when in 2020, which again was very recently, the first Trump administration revoked reservation status at the Mashpee tribe. And what that means is, you know, when we talked about sovereignty, when tribes have land, they say this is our land and this we can do whatever we want to do with it. So example that a lot of people ask about is like casinos. So how is it that a tribe can have a casino, but the entire state says that gambling is illegal? It's because that is their land. So that means that they get to say whatever it is that they want to do with that land is what they're going to do. So Mashpee had land that was in trust. It was going to be used, you know, and the Trump administration decided that that land was no longer going to be reservation land, which, you know, had implications for the tribe, but it also had huge implications for if it ended up being that decision stayed, it would have huge implications across Indian country, because that would mean that land that a tribe maybe bought back or land that they had put into trust, that the federal government could come back and say, oh, actually, it wasn't your land and you can't have it. So this also went to the Supreme Court. And again, Mashpee ended up winning. So our land was not taken from us, but the sustained colonization, like these are things that didn't go away. They continue to be present here in the United States. So this quote is actually from Donald Trump, and I think I have time, so I'll share the clip. But the clip is, "They don't look like Indians to me, and they don't look like Indians to Indians." So I'm going to stop sharing my screen really quickly, and I'm going to play this clip for you all.
Have an apology.
Thank you, sir.
And then you went on to, is this you discussing Indian blood? We're going to judge people by whether they have Indian blood, whether they're qualified to run a gaming casino or not?
That probably is me, absolutely. Because I'll tell you what, if you look at some of the reservations that you've approved, you, sir, in your great wisdom have approved, I will tell you right now, they don't look like Indians to me, and they don't look like the Indians. Now, maybe we say politically correct or not politically correct. They don't look like Indians to me, and they don't look like Indians to Indians. And a lot of people are laughing at it, and you're telling how tough it is, how rough it is to get approved. Well, you go up to Connecticut, and you look. Now, they don't look like Indians to me, sir.
Thank God that's not the test of whether or not people have rights in this country or not, whether or not they pass your look test.
Depends whether, yeah.
You say you niggers don't look like Indians to me. You look like Africans. You look like blacks. I love the blacks. It's the poor little slave babies. These don't look like Indians. They look like slave babies. The 14th Amendment. Trump wild as hell for this.
Correct.
So the clip screen really.
Have an apology.
Let's run that back. Trump wild as hell for
and then
that.
you went on to, is this you discussing Indian blood? We're going to judge people by whether they have Indian blood, whether they're qualified to run a gaming casino or not?
That probably is me, absolutely. Because I'll tell you what, if you look at some of the reservations that you've approved, you, sir, in your great wisdom have approved, I will tell you right now, they don't look like Indians to me, and they don't look like the Indians. Now, maybe we say politically correct or not politically correct. They don't look like Indians to me, and they don't look like Indians to Indians. And a lot of people are laughing at it, and you're telling how tough it is, how rough it is to get approved. Well, you go up to Connecticut, and you look. Now, they don't look like Indians to me, sir.
Thank God that's not the test of whether or not people have rights in this country or not, whether or not they pass your look test.
Depends whether or not you're approving it, sir.
No, it's not a question whether I'm approving it. Not a question.
Now, if you guys are not getting notifications to my live stream, I need you guys to double check the notification bell. I know that you guys previously probably had your notification bell on. Well, since I got my YouTube channel back last year, you probably got to readjust your bell to all. So everyone check your notification bells on your YouTube channel right beside the subscribe button. Check the notification thing. Make sure that all of your notifications is turned on to all. You're going to want to hit all on the notification bell area. Double check that right now. Let me know. Because they probably clicked it off from all. I know they probably did. They did it to a lot of people. So I'm pretty sure they did it to you guys that's listening. So double check your notifications to all right? Appreciate that.
They're telling how tough it is, how rough it is to get approved.
Also, family, this is the Wake and Bake Show. Shout out to everybody that's in the building. Let's get a few people to support the channel. Cash App information is in the chat. Shout out to all the indigenous aborigines in the building, man. Let's get it.
Well, you go up to Connecticut, and you look. Now, they don't look like Indians to me, sir.
Thank God that's not the test of whether or not people have rights in this country or not, whether or not they pass your look test.
Depends whether or not you're approving it, sir.
No, it's not a question whether I'm approving it. Not a question whether I'm approving it. Mr. Trump, you know, in the history of this country where we've heard this discussion before, they don't look Jewish to me.
Oh, really?
They don't look Indian to me. They don't look Italian to me.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a test for whether people could go into business or not go into business, whether they could get a bank loan. You're too black. You're not black enough.
I want to find out. Then why you're approving for Indian? Why don't you approve it for everybody then, sir? If your case is non-discriminatory, why don't you approve for everybody? You're saying.
Anyway, we don't have to keep watching this. I think I have illustrated my point, but the Mashantucket Pequot are very similar to the Mashpee Wampanoag in that.
Yeah, the Pequot, the Shinnecock, the Chickahominy, all these particular groups of Indians had a lot of things in common. They were reclassified as Negroes in color, and they were forced off of their land, and they fought and was denied and fought until they won federal recognition in court. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah, I think it's quite interesting about this whole ordeal, especially when we're looking at the whole template of what it means to be an indigenous aborigine and what they look like. Let's get back into it.
Is because of the sustained history, and it's because they don't like Indians to him, but what does a Native person look like? I showed you a picture of my family. Would you say that any of us in that picture looks like what you think a Native person does or does not look like? That's just something maybe to reflect on. So, like I said, this is actually the Census Bureau, the ACS, so not the census. The number is a little bit different, but about 9 million people identified as Native in the 2023 ACS, and more than half of the people that identified with being American Indian Alaska Native also identified with being another racial or ethnic category. This is specifically the people who identified with being Native and some other category, or specifically with being Black and then maybe something else. So you have about 10% of all Native people that also identify with being Black or African American. And this isn't really to,
She said roughly around 10%. Now, I'm gonna be honest. The numbers for more people claiming to be Black Americans is a lot higher than that, especially within today's confound. Now, is it on the legal books? Probably not. But when you just take into consideration of the Black Americans that definitely acknowledge their indigenous and Aboriginal roots and heritage, the numbers is probably around 40. I'm gonna say roughly around 40 to 60%. You probably got an estimated point about 15 to 19,000. 15 to 19 million so-called Black Americans that claim their indigenous Aboriginal roots and heritage. And the rest of the percentage that doesn't claim it probably hasn't even thought about acknowledging it. Being caught up in this political economic rat race that we call the consumer-based United States, which is based off of consumerism, capitalism. You understand what I'm saying? So some people don't even have enough time to even rationally think about their lineage and heritage and whether or not they're truly indigenous and whether or not they come from Africa. These questions probably never even pop up into that small percentage of people's minds. But us having these conversations and it being on social media, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, etc., people hear it. The everyday people that's not thinking about it, that never thought about it, is hearing it, and it provokes something. It sparks an interest inside of them, of the people that understand and was told from granddad, great granddad, grandma, great grandma about their indigenous roots and heritage. You see what I'm saying? Those hearing it again in modern terms from another set of people that you absolutely don't know, and you hearing those same similar sentiments makes you question and go back into your own lineage. And I think it's just a beautiful thing. And I think it's a good thing for us to bring out this information about us being denied and then the reclassification process of the indigenous peoples. They claim that a lot of the indigenous people were wiped out. They were unalive. Legally on paper. This is what they came up with the birth certificate for. The birth certificate was based off of the 1666 Cesquiu Act. The 1666 Cesquiu Act. All right, that's CESTIQUE. All right, Act. All right, go look that up. That defines you dead, and under dead on paper. And so, with you being dead on paper, they can take ownership of all your things that fall up under your possession, trust, if you will. And so that's why they created the birth certificate. They didn't get rid of the indigenous peoples physically. They got rid of you on paper. They got rid of the indigenous peoples on paper. That's why you still have people coming back and fighting that are pure blood indigenous peoples, but was classified with something else and removed off of their land. They got to fight in the Supreme Court. They ain't got to physically fight because they didn't physically take them away. It was done in the court. It was a court battle. It was a courtroom attack. It was a legal attack. Most of these battles that you're hearing about in historical sake wasn't really physical battles. I'm gonna just drop this science to y'all right now. A lot of these wars that you hear about, a lot of these battles that you hear about, they're not physical battles. They're courtroom battles. They're courtroom attacks. They're legal wars. I'm gonna break that shit down to y'all.
But really just to show you like how many different intersections there are. There are people who are white and Black and Native. So my mother, she's Jamaican, but she's also half white. So I'm white, I'm Black, I'm Native American. One of my cousins who I showed you, she's also Filipino. So she would, you know, click the boxes for Black and Native and for Filipino. But all of us, again, we share this same background, whether it's for one reason or another, but all of our nativeness is just as valid as anybody else's. These are of well-known Afro-Native people who you may know in the present time or across history. So we have people like Jimi Hendrix, who's of Cherokee descent, James Earl Jones, who's Cherokee and Choctaw descent. Kyrie Irving is actually a citizen of the Standing Rock Sioux. We have Crispus Attucks. So this was the first person to die in the American Revolution. It's debated if he was Wampanoag or if he was Nipmuc or what New England tribe he was from, but everyone can pretty much agree that he was an Afro-Native person. But when you read about it in textbooks, they say that, you know, yes, Crispus Attucks was a Black man, but he was also Native, and that's a really important thing to know. We also have Callie Reyes, who's an actress, but she is Seekonk. So I had mentioned Seekonk.
I'll just see a few people that say that she just simply put up here. Crispus Attucks, Wampanoag. I'm gonna go ahead and add in Paul Cuffey, right? Who was also Wampanoag. You got Kylie, right here. You got Kyrie Irving. You got James Earl Jones. You got Jimi Hendrix. That's a nice little comprise, real quick, just to get your eyes set.
So I had mentioned the Cherokee freedmen, and this is Marilyn Vann. She was the first Cherokee citizen of freedmen descent to hold a position on the Cherokee Nation government board. She spent more than 30 years as an engineer for the U.S. Treasury Department. And
she looked like my Aunt Penny.
She did a lot of fighting for the rights of freedmen. So again, these are descendants of people who were once enslaved by Cherokee, Chickasaw, Muskogee, and the Seminole Nations, and she was the president of the Descendants of Freedmen of the Five Civilized Tribe Association. But this is like a good example of how it has come to fruition to this point. And this is something that has happened more recently. So this was in July of 2025. So, you know, within the past 12 months, there were two descendants of the Muskogee Nation who appealed to the court, and they were able to get citizenship. Again, Muskogee Nation, which is in Oklahoma, they practiced slavery, and in an 1866 treaty with the U.S. government, the tribe decided to abolish slavery and grant citizenship to those formerly enslaved people. However, in 1979, the Muskogee Nation adopted a constitution that actually restricted the membership of descendants of these freedmen on what they call the Dawes Roll, which is a census of the members of those five tribes that was created in the 1900s. So they ended up, again, deciding that actually descendants of enslaved people are entitled to citizenship and they can enter the roll now. We're going to kind of close out this presentation.
Notice who she depicts. Somebody, Negro, auntie, and Uncle Carl. Carl be on that bullshit. He don't let nobody sit on that plastic couch. This is a regular Negro people.
Can't enter the roll now. We're going to kind of close out this presentation with thinking about how we can support our Afro-Native relatives. So this is more of like a funny example, but one of...
Well, I'm going to stop this video right here, and we're going to get into a little bit of heat. We're going to get into a little bit of heat. You figure deal me? But I just think that there's a unique history amongst the Wampanoag people. And like I said, most of these damn depictions will show you a mixed people. It'd be a bunch of different mixed shit going on, but I guess that's just how it is when somebody's trying to take over one's land. You know what I'm saying? You can see the Negro presence amongst these people. You see what I'm saying? But in certain depictions, they gonna show you straight up pale skins Italians. Straight up Italians acting like Wampanoag indigenous peoples. As a matter of fact, let's get into some of this shit that I got lined up. Let's read a little bit. Shout out to everybody that's in the building. The Mashpee Wampanoags are one of the 3 surviving tribes of the original 69 in the Wampanoag Nation. You understand me? So the Mashpee is part of one of the 69 original clans and tribes of the Wampanoag Nation. Contact between native and non-native people is often seen as a singular event at a particular point in time. Contact is, in fact, an ever-occurring experience between those surviving indigenous peoples in a place and those who continue to arrive and settle within or around in indigenous communities. The following is a snapshot timeline of the contact experience of the Mashpee Wampanoag. Now look at this depiction of they showing you these motherfucking pale skins. Disrespectful. There go a brief timeline of the Wampanoag history. This is a brief timeline. Pilgrims established a settlement on the Wampanoag land in Plymouth Rock. So when they say we ain't land with Plymouth Rock landed on us. That's what that Wampanoag can literally say that, because that was the direct area and the area where they was. That's how you get some of these Shinnecock and the Narragansett and obviously the Wampanoag people and the Pequot Indians being affected in some of these earlier wars with some of the Dutch and some of the earlier people that came over here. King Philip's War, you know what I mean? 1675. War over 40% of the Wampanoag tribal population were injured or killed in large numbers of health. Males sold off to slavery. So that gets into some of the shit where you get some of these indigenous roots in Europe. You get some of these indigenous roots in the islands. You find some of these indigenous roots out there in Africa. They were shipping people out to Africa because they had Dutch colonies where they needed the indigenous peoples to bring over some of their science of agriculture. So they were enslaving them and also using them to cultivate and colonize the land, at least colonize the soil of the land. We're telling you real facts right here on the screen, man. Y'all can double check me right now as we continue to go through. 25 square miles of land reserved by the tribe in the form of a deed from a tribal leaders to the tribe itself. This was in 1665, and Plymouth Colony confirmed the deed is in 1685. So it was actually confirmed in 1685. So look how time that they were supposed to have it, fought in court for 20 years just for it to be confirmed 20 years later in court. 1725, you got the Plymouth Colony Institutes and the proprietarian system of the land controlled in the Mashpee. All right, the tribal members known as the collective owners of the land and proprietarians. All right. So these was the actual land owners by rights. This was recognized. You see what I'm saying? Plymouth Colony appoints 3 guardians over Mashpee tribe to limit the tribe's independence. So look, that's when they started regulating. And they understand that they were already controlling the land. This is when they started feeling like they had authority over them. You know, they wanted, okay, well, you got to give me this to stay on your land. You got to do this and do that. And, you know, the Mashpee really wasn't going with that. You know, they end up leading into a big revolt called the Mashpee Revolt, which we'll probably later on get into that as well. Make sure y'all double hit that like button, share the live stream while you're in the building, and make sure y'all support the channel. Shout out to everybody that snuck into the building right quick. I see we got a few people that did sneak up into the building with us. Shout out to Reclassified Black While Indian, Rodney Gilmore, Thomas Stoner, He Who Is, Bronze Flat Power, Roger W, aka Poison Puppet in the building, Susan Thompson, good to see you in the building, sister. Who else? We got the Iceman, Little Yos Rios. We got Big Bro in the building. Shout out to everybody that's in the building that snuck up in the building with us, man. Make sure y'all hit that like button, share the live stream, Cash App information in the chat if y'all want to support the channel. You're not obligated, but we do appreciate it. Shout out to Be More Bigfoot in the building as well. Salute to you, family. Good to see you in the building. Let's keep rocking out. We got a lot more to get into. All right. So look, this is 1764. They try to start putting boundaries and restriction and pretty much micromanaging the indigenous peoples, restricting them to having full independencies and self-autonomy. The tribe dispatched delegates to the meet of the King of England. So they met the King of England in 1760, where they repeat complaints about their colonists that was encroaching on their land. The king ordered changes in their governance, talking about the particular colonies. All right, that was in 1760. Now look, Pete, 1763, the Plymouth colonies complies with the king, acknowledged Mashpee as a self-governing Indian district. So now they wasn't able to be micromanaged. They went around the actual little colonists and went straight directly to their leader. Look how the Mashpee played their chess move. Look how they played their chess move. This is real Negro people. Shout out to Big Bro Untouching is one in the building. I will drop the link just in case the OG definitely want to come in. Because this he goes in on this. I was just listening to some of his videos from like 7 years ago dealing with the Gullah Indians, the Gullah and the Geechee Indians not being African. And that video is way ahead of its time, man. It's just way ahead of his goddamn time, man. It's marvelous. And shout out to AA1, man. It's fire. Definitely fire. So now we got the revolutionary. Well, yeah, we got the Revolutionary War popping off in 1770, aka the Boston Massacre. Shout out to my boy Crispus Attucks, who was a Wampanoag, and he was murdered. The first person to be murdered in that particular war. And there was a lot of more indigenous peoples, which led to a lot of other rebellions. Crispus Attucks was a real warrior and soldier. He passed away in commemoration because he was respected. He was also a clergyman in the local area as well, meaning one of the pastors in the entire town. Mashpee Wampanoag tribe members fight on behalf of independence in the American Revolution. That's what the Crispus Attucks pretty much died for. By 1790, the United States Congress approved the Trade of the Intercourse Act requiring federal approval for the Indian land grant, meaning they had federal land, they had their own autonomy, control. We're talking about Aboriginal indigenous people. We're talking about Aboriginal indigenous peoples. That's what we want. That's what happened. By 1822, federal officials deliberate on federal Indian removal policies. The federal government dominates Mashpee Indians as a tribe in occupations of a reservation. So now they're limited their lands again. In 1822, for the next 25 years, the federal officials included Mashpee in federal reports of the federal Indian policies. Officials also periodically assess conditions on the Mashpee reservations. The Mashpee tribe and reservations are also referenced in the federal list of tribes in the United States. So in 1822, they was recognized as a federal tribe. But listen, peep this. We got to go all the way up to 2021. This shit get nasty. They start playing a real weird game with the Mashpee. Oh yeah, Long Island, the Montauk, the Shinnecock, Muskogee, the OG, the Nomi, the tribe of the Olmec, coming to restore the crown of the Olmec. He said Shinnecock, Choctaw. What'd he say? Yeah, boy went hard. Y'all don't even know what I'm talking about. As a matter of fact, I gotta take a quick little break real quick because I gotta go fix me something to drink, if y'all don't mind. And maybe I can play a little music for the family until we get back. You know what I'm saying? I'll be right back in just a second. You know what I'm saying? So I'll play a little music for the family for just a second. I'll be right back. It's your brother Aboriginal Power. I'll be right back in just a second.
Took a tears and empress, about to begin. Giving love to all the ancestors that's tuning in. Here comes the Duke of Tears with some more.
Going out till the all-met. Montauk, Shinnecock, Chickasaw, Choctaw, Washita, Blackfoot, Abenaki, Seminole, Muskogee. You know me, the whole me is OG. Coming to restore the crown of the all-met. Montauk, Shinnecock, Chickasaw, Choctaw, Washita, Blackfoot, Abenaki, Seminole, Muskogee. You know me, the whole me is OG. Coming to restore the crown of the whole.
Super do like an eagle, more like a stinging bee. Ancestors is left, right, in front me. I'm all that vid dynasty live inside me. Moon goddess since birth, she worth native, made for greatness. And wild, with natural style, rain dancer under the moon, knock through the pearly gates. Escape from Spain to Panama, we still ahead of y'all. Never racing, just slow pacing to the top of the dome. We stand tall, y'all. Never lazy to walk, clap, just slap back. For all the more talking, Shinnecock, never stop. A little petite, but never retreat. 10K is doggone tall, y'all. Chopper riding, we awake, very deep streaming. ET beaming, blunt chop, lightsaber walker, wolf talker, never stop.
Till the all-met. Montauk, Shinnecock, Chickasaw, Choctaw, Washita, Blackfoot, Abenaki, Seminole, Muskogee. You know me, the whole me is OG. Coming to restore the crown.
Shout out to everybody that's in the building. My bad, family. We back at it. Hopefully y'all hit that like button while we was in the building, man. Let's get a few people to support the channel, man. Shout out to my brother Roger W for sending in the Cash App donation. We do appreciate the love and support. We really, really do appreciate the love and the support. Shout out to everybody that's in the building, man. Make sure y'all show some love to the people that supported the channel, family. Make sure y'all shout them out in the chat. But yeah, man, let's get right back into some more of this heat that we got, man. Let's get back into this timeline of the Wampanoags. Let's get back into this timeline, though. All right, so the Mashpee Indians is this where we at? Yeah. So the Mashpee Indians in 1834, the Wampanoag tribe protests the authorities of non-Indian overseers. The Massachusetts legislature revokes their authority, acknowledging the Mashpee as a completely self-governed Indian district. That is what they fought for. But in 1842, the Massachusetts legislature approves the division of the Mashpee tribal land. The land is split amongst the tribal members, making individual properties allotments and inalienable to anyone other than Mashpee proprietors. Okay, the federal government did not approve this attempt, extinguishing of the tribal title as required by the 1790 Trade and Intercourse Act. The Commonwealth leaves roughly 5 acres of Mashpee land, 5,000 acres of the Mashpee land in tribal ownership. That was in 1842, family. That was in 1842. Now we're leading up to the Civil War. Now watch this huge gap from 1850 to 1869. From 1850, federal census of the tribes is updated, and it includes the Mashpee tribe because the Mashpee were Indian. The Mashpee were Indian. Okay, the Mashpee were Indian, so they got them. They didn't even want to include them in earlier census. The 1790 census didn't even include Mashpee as an actual Indian tribe, even though they were being federally district recognized with allocated lands to. They were denying them because of their Negro presence, their heavy Negro presence. Some of the other nations were actually becoming a mixed breed with other various different German and Dutch nations. You know, they was in contact with the earlier Dutch. Shout out to Miss Shay. Shout out to Miss Shay. I'm not going to say your full name. Shout out to Miss Shay for supporting the channel. Shout out to my sister, Miss Shay, for supporting the channel. We appreciate you for supporting the channel. Thank you very much. Y'all make sure y'all show some love to Miss Shay for supporting the channel. All right. We appreciate Roger W. and Shay so far for supporting the channel. Also, shout out to my brother, Voodoo Child, and my sister, Chickahominy Roots. All right. For those that did purchase the Sunday's class from yesterday, we did not do the Sunday's class. I did refund everyone. So if you did not receive a refund for yesterday's Sunday class, make sure you guys double check because I did refund everyone, okay? Just want to make sure we got that under control. So look, 1850, they barely wanted to include them. Now look, 1869, okay, 4 years after the ending of the Civil War legal battle, legislation makes Mashpee tribal members as state citizens and lifts the restraint against the alienations of the Mashpee allotments to any other than Mashpee proprietaries, meaning they opened up their land to anybody and stole it. Labeled them citizens, slaves under that particular thing. This is when you started giving up your tribal rule. Is when you start getting into them the jurisdiction of these people at this particular time. People that are mixed and mulattoes that have dual allegiances to kings and queens in Britain. This is how they were trying to stifle the land. This is 4 years after the ending or the court battle of the Civil War, because I don't believe the Civil War was an actual physical battle, you guys. Y'all know that I believe that it was simply a legal dispute in war, a battle in court. You understand what I'm saying? Much like a lot of these other wars and battles. But I'm not going to keep going in right quick too much. I want to introduce the OG. We got a Hanu Kiel, a.k.a. the Unconscious One. Peace and blessings, brother. Maybe his mic messed up. But once again, shout out. We got the brother, the Unconscious One. He'll probably be right back with us in just a second. We'll come back to the brother. Legislation authorities in the conveyance of the remaining 3,000 to 5,000 acres in tribal ownership was abolished. The Mashpee district and created the town of Mashpee. So they got rid of the entire ancestral land that was only used for those particular Mashpee, and they forced them to only have to create a town. The federal government did not approve the transaction as a required in 1790 trade of the Intercourse Act. That was in 1870, y'all. So look how they just reclassified them, took their land and moved them into jurisdiction of the state. Literally said made them a citizen. That's called being enumerated. But go ahead, brother. We got the Unconscious One in the building once again. Let me stop what I'm doing. I know you got some heat for us. Let's get right into it. Before we get into it, let's get right into it. We got the brother.
For the stats, I be beating the odds. In the blood, it be making me calm. Ride the turbines just like I'm Saddam. I'ma blow it just like I'm a bomb. I'ma leave it.
Hey, one, you got the flow, brother. I got your screen pulled up. You ready to go? Whatever you got for us to get into. Peace and blessings, Grand Rising. Loud and clear.
You can hear me? Peace of God,
yes, sir.
Man. Peace of God. I finally got my StreamYard to work for my other computer and shit.
I was wondering where you at, man. Let's cook up some shit then. Let's go.
Hold up real quick. Let me get my mic. Let me make sure my mic is good. Let me see something. Hold up. Yeah, I seen you going to the Mashpee. You know who got some good information on the Mashpee?
Who?
You can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Who got some good?
Doctor, what's the name? Doctor. What the fuck is my man's name and shit? Oh my God. What's the doctor we interviewed, man? Dr.
David Imhotep. David
Imhotep. And his book, bro.
Rest
and
in
look,
peace to him.
check it out real quick. You can see my screen, right?
Yeah, you live in action. I'm gonna just mute up and let you do your thing, OG.
Oh, this is America was a Negro continent, right? Hold on, let me get to the part where the Mashpee is at. All right, so I'm gonna actually do a build on it. I mean, well, I'm gonna actually release it, but I'm gonna do another build live or whatever, right? So hold up. Just in that area.
That's crazy because I literally just put together a PowerPoint that I added on to some shit you already know, but it says the same thing. America is a Negro continent because there's a lot of people. We gotta overly stress that. You see what I'm saying? It's confusing, like this was a melting pot of some sort.
You know what? Let's have some fun real quick.
Let's do it.
So let's have some fun real quick. All right. So look, we're gonna start from the beginning. We're gonna go back to the essence. All right. So just in the term America, right? Let me see something. Hold up. Damn. Hold up. Shit. Jumped all the way up. Hold up. I'm a little rusty, man. So just bear with me. I mean, you know, it's like riding a motherfucking bike. All right. All right, so we go back. Let's go back to the essence real quick. All right, so America, right? The word America, 1828, right? It says a native of America originally applied to the Aborigines or copper color races found here by Europeans, right? So then we get into copper color. These are the synonyms for copper: burnish, chestnut, copper, rustic, rust, tan, burnish, metallic brown, and reddish tan, right? These are the colors of copper. Also, to go along with that, these are the colors illustrated in the synonyms, right? These are some other illustrations of copper, right? We got brown, and red, right? All right, so we go back. I always like to start from Aborigine to put all this stuff in content. Aborigine is a person, animal, or plant that has been in a country or regions from the earliest time. Okay, now we know when you go down, it say AB away, right? But we deal with the top. We deal with the top definition: a person, animal, or plant that been in country or region from the earliest time, right? So let's continue. All right, so we got Aboriginal, 1660, right? I think the word is older than 1660, but however it go, right? It says first earliest existence from the beginning, especially in reference to inhabitants of land. Now I say colonized by Europeans, right? Now, even when they're colonized by Europeans, in your mind state, you thinking the Europeans are the Europeans that we know now, right? But this is kind of like taken out of content. It's like, you know, even when you get the so-called Moors, because I don't even call them Black Europeans, I call them Moors that came from Iberia, or AKA Europe, right? Because Europe was called Iberia. When so-called Black Europeans is coming over here, Europe wasn't even called Europe at that time, and no one classified people as being Black at that time. You understand what I'm saying? So let me see there's some additional information. Indian, it says inhabitants of India or South Asia, right? It says pertaining to India, right? It says applied to the Aboriginal native inhabitants of the Americas from at least 1553. Okay, and then they go to Indio, etc., right? But we like to keep that in content, right? So let me continue. Let's go down. Matter of fact, you know what? I might as well put this in here, right? So this is from a book called The Fool's Progress, right? This is Edward A.B., right? It say A.B. writes that Columbus knew he were now here near India, and that he was so charmed by the people he found in the Caribbean, so sweet, happy, blessed. He called them Lost Gentile, or Indios, meaning the people in God. This is what Columbus wrote to Ferdinand and Isabella. A.B. reports, and the name Indios in page 139, right? Now check this out. This is the other book right here, right? You get some good information from this, right? And like I said, a lot of this stuff, let it go through one ear and not the other. It's just the past content. We know that Columbus shit is bullshit, because Columbus wouldn't have been able to come across the Atlantic Ocean and come on land, because we had a military.
If he was a pale skinned person, right?
but he still had to get clarity. Like just like you go anywhere, right? If you go anywhere, like let's say you go to a land where there's a no-fly zone, right? And if you go across there, you have to call them and let them know, or they will shoot you out the water. They will shoot you out the air. And it's the same thing. Like if we see any ships that was coming across the Atlantic Ocean, we was going to stop them in mid-water. They would never be able to come across the land. This is it. This is why I know a lot of these stories they tell us is bullshit. A lot of these stories, wasn't nobody just able to come and get on the land like that. We had a military. Where do you think the Marines come from? The Marines. The Marines is taken. Why do you think they give you a clue, which is the Masonic code, when they say from the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli? It's telling you how long our empire extended from. And it's telling you that through that extension of that empire, that no one was able to just cross the ocean like that because we had our land protected. So they tell us all these stories to make you think that Mother America was weak. We got taken interiorly. We got taken from the so-called Slavs or these so-called
Hey, Chief Golden I see you in the chat popping it. This is always an open panel. We ain't gonna let you pop it in the chat though. Come talk like a man. Let's get it in. Stand on your claims, though, boy. Let's get it.
Let's get it. That's what I'm saying. Like even today, man, we got so many people who think they know what they talking about, but I'm a little advanced. So, like, listen, whatever you think you know, you can always come up here and address it with the God. I'm telling you, all these stories that you niggas be hearing about people just coming across the land and just coming and doing what they want to do. No, you couldn't do that. And even if you can't. Even if you can't.
Like I be challenging a lot of this shit. Now I ain't gonna challenge nothing that you said right now, even though I do disagree with some of the stuff. But me and Chief literally had a back and forth on some of the shit that you said. But I'm gonna let you rock out because you cooking though. Go ahead.
So look. So even this is another. It says, did Columbus really name the Indians? Right. It says New York. USA, it said December 18, 2002. It said there have always been confusion on how exactly to describe the indigenous people of America. It says the editor and publisher of the Lakota Journal, it say in a recent article wrote that the term Native American as opposed to Indian happened during the age of political correctness. It said it was at the time when African Americans, Asian Americans, Hispanic Americans came into vogue. It said for as long as I can remember, we have always referred to ourselves as Indians. It said many elders will tell you that Indian is not a bad word. It said, do they not believe in the word? No, it was the words uttered by Christopher Columbus because he thought he was in India. He landed on the island on the Western Hemisphere rather than they attribute it to the Spanish conquistadors and the Padres who accompanied them to the land, dubbed the New World. The Spanish Padres saw the indigenous people as innocent. They called them Nino Indio, quotation, children of God. Okay, it says, and the words became words of common usage. They were shortened to Indios, and the word Indio soon became Indian when repeated by settlers. Okay, so let's get into this. Like these are sources. I'm giving you sources. These ain't just no shit I'm just pulling up. Now look, here go another source, right? So it's saying, now this is from Russell Means. You guys probably know. This is Russell Means right here. This is he's a Lakota Indian. Y'all have seen him. He's one of the popularized Indians that they were showing like in the 1980s and 90s, right? And this is just some. Well, I'm not going to get all into who he is. I just told you a little bit about who he is or whatever. But this is what he wrote. It said, "I am an American Indian, not a Native American," by Russell Means, right? So it said, refer to the term American Indian because I know its origin. It's in the word Indian is an English bastardization of two Spanish words, Indios, which commonly translated, which means with God. Okay, like the other sources just said, right? Here go another source. It say the origin of the word Indian for describing Native Americans. It said here's a question, or rather speculation I've some input on. It's saying we've all heard that Native Americans were called Indians because of Columbus' erroneous belief that he reached India. Then I read the Algala Sox writer states that it was the Spanish term for the native people as Nino Indios. It's saying that was shortened to Indios, which became a commonly used term. It's saying, well, I understand that the term indigenous is saying is used in the Hispano-American to describe the indigenous people. It's saying, have you heard otherwise, other theories, etc., 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 right? But then it says, Cristobal Colon, it says to Hispania, it's saying, and was greater by 4 chiefs bearing gifts. Colon noticed how they was modeled of Christians. It's saying, and easily enslaved, referring to them as people of God. It's saying the description was shortened to Indios, in English, Indian. All right, so let's keep it moving. All right, let's keep it moving. I don't know. I could kind of touch on Barron Street. You know what? Nah, I ain't gonna touch on this right now. I'm gonna wait till I do my bill. I want to get to the part where AP was talking. So just give me a second. Let me get down to that part. Oh, all right. Well, no. Matter of fact, you know what? Fuck it. I can go here. All right. Why not? So this is Naya, right? And this is the article that I often read, that in which when they reconstructed Naya face, because they did this is a reconstruction of Naya, what you see on the screen. And this is from the paleontologist James Chatter, right? It says, but there lies a puzzle. Modern Native American closely resemble people of China, Korea, and Japan. But the oldest skeletons does not. It says archaeologist and paleontologist James Chatter. It said lead author and study and owner of Applied Paleoscience, a research consulting service based in Bothell, I guess that's how you pronounce it, Washington. It says the small numbers of earlier specimens discovered so far have smaller and shorter faces, longer and narrow skulls than later Native Americans, closely resembling the modern people of Africa, Australia, and South Pacific Islands. Right? It says this has led speculation that perhaps the first Americans and Native Americans came from 2 different homelands. Now, I kind of put this right here, right? Because I was doing the Barron Strait with it, right? Let me see something real quick. I really didn't want to touch on the Barron Strait, but fuck it, why not? All right, I got some time. I ain't gonna go to the gym till about 11 anyway. All right, so the Barron Land Bridge theory, right? It said the Barron Strait is a waterway that separates Russia from North America. It lies above the Barron Land Bridge, right? It's also called Barrangia. It's saying sometime in spell. It's a submerged landmass that once connected the Siberian mainland with North America, right? It's saying while Barrangia shaped a size while above water is various described in publications. Most scholars would agree that the landmass include the Stewart Peninsula as well as the existing land area of northeast Siberia and western Alaska between the, I can't pronounce that, the something ridge, it's in Siberia, and the Mackenzie River in Alaska. It said as a waterway, the Barron Strait connects the Pacific Ocean to the Arctic Ocean over the polar ice cap and eventually to the Atlantic Ocean, right? So boom, these is just some theories that they got. It said a single founding ancestry.
But me and you know that that's not right. We know it's the opposite way. Hold on, just for clarity's sake for the people. Me and you know that we challenged that, and we know that it's the opposite of that. They didn't
That's why
come into this motherfucker. We left out this mug.
That's why it's called the theory. That's why it's called the
Right.
theory. That's why it's called the theory. If it's a fact, why would it be theory? Why would they add the word theory? But that goes back into now. That kind of goes into what James Chatter was saying, right? And we know that it's the out of America theory. America is the old land. Now check this out. And you see, look, this is why I connected this to it, right? It say America, the old world, first born among continents, through so much later, a culture and civilization that some of the more recent birth. America, so far in her physical history is concerned, is falsely denominated the New World. Hers was the first dry land lifted out of the water. Okay, meaning hers was the first shores that washed against the land, and this is the cross connection right here, right? Because in Sonic, the Oriental Masonry book, it said the same shit. It said America as the curtain which has been concealed, the prehistoric connection between the people of the ancient Egypt and America is lifted. It will be seen that the people of the eagle on the Nile being descendants of the original people of the eagle on this continent.
Right.
All
And
right.
listen, let me just add another little source right on top of that, right behind you, big bro. And I'm gonna let you get right back to cooking. I got this letter from the first inhabitants of the continent, and this is a letter from Thomas Jefferson. It said, "It is the belief of the wise Thomas Jefferson that the Americas was the first seat of the human race, and that the Eastern Hemisphere was peopled from the Western." A letter from him to the president of Styles at Yale College in 1786, while he represented the United States at the court of France, was published in the American Museum for November 1787. You can find this direct reference on page 492. Now, from this particular letter, the abstract is stating that Mr. Jefferson believed that the first inhabitants of Asia, who so much resembled the American Aborigines, went from America to Asia instead of Asia to the Americas. You understand what I'm saying? Just
Yes.
more.
I got that. I got that on here. So I'm going down. You kind of jumped the gun, but check this out, right? So look, in the Queen of Mu and the Egyptian Sphinx, right? This is, and a lot of this shit went over people's head, right? Now look, this is what he's saying in the Queen of Mu and the Egyptian Sphinx, right? It says America is the oldest known continent on the face of the planet. That fossils remain and human beings found in various parts of its far distance from each other proves that they lived there in time of immemorial. Now check this out. This is what he also say, right? Hold up. I think it's on. Let me see something. It is on this one right here. It says historians, when writing on the universal history of race, have never taken consideration that the man in America and his role that in remote ages American nations played on the world stage and the influence they exerted over the populations of Asia, Africa, and Europe. Right now, hold up, because there was something on here that I missed. Let me see something. Now hold up. Let me see. I skipped over it. All right, this is a source that you pulled up. America and the first inhabitants of the continent. Right. So now look, this is my theory, right? My theory is that all of these races of people that we see, it was black people on every continent, right? We know there was black people on the Pacific coast once that land rose, or if you believe in the Lemuria story, right? However, right, I believe that the Asians, the Indians, and the Africans were created here. Because even when we get into
I've been touching on that too, though. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. That's one of my new little leaning theories. I'm adding more data into it as we go. Trust me.
This
you
is
feel me?
touches on it. he touches on it from the letter, right? It's saying Mr. Jefferson believed that the first inhabitants of Asia who so much resembled the American Aborigines. Now, when he's saying that, he's talking about the Pacific Islanders. He's not talking about the people we know as Asians right now. The first people that inhabited Asia was the Pacific Islanders, right? Now check this out, right? And then, hold on, it said who so much resembled the American Aborigines went from America to Asia instead of coming from Asia to America. This
Right.
is
Right. And I got another source right here, big bro, that kind of goes into some shit right here, which comes from the book Early American History and Archaeology. It said the idea that Europeans who introduced civilization to Africa is one of the biggest historical myths. In fact, evidence from archaeology, oral history, and traditional languages and cultural practices strongly indicate that it was the South American Indians who introduced civilization to Africa 7,000 years ago. Long before the Greek-Roman civilization emerged, the South American Indians had introduced civilization to America, therefore by making Africa the second continent in the world to become civilized.
That's a fact. Now, to go along with the first continent that came out of the water, I put the Adam figure of all men, 34,000 years ago, which is known as Albert Perry, the Y chromosome. Now, we don't need to get into this because kind of Dulcinea didn't touch on it, and we've been touching on it for years, but she did an excellent job on it. So we know.
Well,
about
yeah, but can I add on?
Sure, go ahead.
I would like to add on to that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna pull up another source.
And remember too, right? They tell you that Homo sapien existed how long? What was the timeline? 200,000 years. This is according to them. So they went back and changed it. When they first found this Y chromosome in Albert Perry, they knew that the 340,000 year marker was before Homo sapiens. So they had to change it to make it go along with their eugenics theory. You understand what I'm saying? So they changed the date on it. You know what I'm saying? They changed the date. And if you go back to the bill I had with the Native Americans, probably about I don't know how long ago that was. I showed the guy. Matter of fact, it was on Ab TV channel or whatever. I got the video. I still got the video. I'm actually gonna post that video because we smoked that nigga. We hit that nigga when I pulled up that because he was talking about malaria. And he was saying malaria only go back 20,000 years ago. And I pulled up the malaria mosquito that they found in Dominican Republic that go back 15 million years. That nigga head spin off. That nigga had to take his motherfucking his jacket off, his lab jacket, and give it to me because we proved that the malaria mosquito existed. And then also 101 Truth, he gave me another source. This was probably a couple years ago. Just kind of eluding me right now. But he gave me another source that was older than the 15 million year mosquito that they found. And they found that mosquito. I forgot what college it was. I can't. It's eluding me right now. But anyway, like all this shit connects, man. When we go back to America, that's why I kind of put all this shit in. I put some of the anthropology before I got into the actual build, and these are some of the other places where they found Negro skeletons in the monthly recorded anthropology science. And this is from, I believe this is 1938. This is the Trevor Brixton and Julian article, right? Now look, check this out. Now this is when you get into it, right? Now it says Arthur David Imhotep cites a number of scientists and scholars who have identified prehistorical skulls and skeletons of Black people of asteroid Negro type dating back to 56,000 years throughout the New World. This appears to be substantiated by more recent discovery. It said our focus here, however, is the Negro skulls and skeletons that have been discovered in ancient and medieval world sites. It's saying one of the world's most renowned craniologists, Polish professor Andrzej Wisconsin is saying reveals that to the 41st Congress, it's saying Americans in Mexico in 1974, the African skulls have been discovered at Olmec sites, my nigga. The African skulls, and we don't hear nothing about this. I got this from David Imhotep book. That's why I say, like, I had to go back and look at his book because he got fucking sources. He got all of these skeletons that we've been talking about for years.
Right, and I did a bill not too long ago on the godfather of Americans' DNA, which there's a guy DNA that has been studied by Wisconsin. It was in 23andMe documents. It goes back 700,000 years old. His name is Ramon Moses. Y'all look him up. His shit is twice as old as Albert Purge. Found in Memphis, Tennessee.
Damn, that's some heavyweight shit. You gotta send me that link so I can put it into this because I'm trying to.
Yeah, I got you. I'm gonna send you the link and I'm gonna send you the build I did on that mug. It's cold, bro. Cold. Ramon Moses.
But he says right here, see, we never
he got A00 negative. I mean, negative. You understand?
Hey, look. I'm gonna read this again. So, with Chinsky is saying revealed to the 41st Congress of the American is saying Mexico in September 1974 said the African skull. We know they're not African skulls, but however it go, we're gonna play along with the source. What African skulls be doing buried at the Olmec site?
That's right? Revived. They would have used Negro at that time anyway.
Yeah, exactly. It said Wisconsin found a clear prevalence of the total of Negroid patterns. Okay. This is another source right here. It says, in some vein, historian Frederick Patterson has written that it's saying we can trace the progress of man in Mexico without noting any defined old world influence during this period, 1000 BC to 650 BC, accepting a strong Negroid stratum. It's saying connecting with the magician Olmec. It's saying finally in February of 1975, a team of Smithsonian Institute reporters. Let me hide this. Hold up. Shit blocking it. They're saying finally in February 1975, that's the year I was born. It said a team of Smithsonian Institute reports the discovery of the two Negroid male skeletons in a grave in the Virginia Islands. It's in scientific analysis of the surrounding soil suggests that the skeletons date back to 1200, 500 AD. All right, so that's just some additional sources, right? So to go along with what we were saying, so back to what I was saying about James Chatter and how he said that modern Native Americans closely resemble China, Korean, and Japanese, but the oldest skeletons resemble Africans, Australians, and South Pacific Islanders, right? So these are modern Native Americans. Modern, you know what modern means? We don't need to go into etymology and modern, okay? These are your boys right here. These are boys that's claiming that they tauntauns, right?
Yeah, but they can't be. Let me just I'm gonna just piggyback right off of you. We're gonna do some pass the ball a little bit. I got a source right here that goes into the same particular area you was describing, right? In some of the earlier accounts, right? And this comes from the Polynesian Society and the transaction of the proceeding of the societies, right? 1908, right? It said as an indication in some of the expeditions from the Polynesians reached the American continent. We may refer to the banana, a plant currently a native to the Old World and also widely distributed in the pre-Spanish America. Balboa found the first expedition across the Isthmus Panama in a tribe of dark-skinned, heavily tattooed people with frizzy hair, which various historians have described as Negroes. Following a statement in that effect in the Peter Marchard, there are a region not 2 past days journey distance into the core, in which they found only black Moors. That's Moores. All right, the black Moors, right? Those extended, fierce, and cruel, overdue, much more detailed account about these people makes it apparent of that they say they were not Negroes. Peter Barney stated in the nature of the casual report echoed into the sound hand information. Avito's narrative was drawn up in the isthmus when he arrived. So he's saying that these were indigenous Polynesians. They were, but they called them Negro, even though apparently they wasn't Negro because they have the culture, society of the Polynesians. So if they comparing indigenous Aborigines to Polynesians in the own society report of early Polynesian, it's saying that they're Negro, then they're pretty much saying that the indigenous people here.
Why is he calling them Moors if they're in the Pacific Island? I thought Moors are only from North Africa. This is what I'm trying to say.
That's what I thought.
But this is what I've been telling people, man, and people don't listen, man. A lot of us get caught up in like we regurgitate shit that these people say, man. We don't do the investigative research that's necessary for us to be correct. And then when somebody like me come along and tell you all dark-skinned people was mortal or called Moors, people, oh no, the Moors are only from, and then we get into this shit. And then I find myself teaching, and I can hear, I know what you don't know by what you're saying. Because if you knew what you were saying, then you would already say, well, Moors is a descriptive term, and we know that all dark-skinned people was called Moors, and that would be the end of the conversation. But because, like I said, I'm not in this shit to be liked. I'm not in this shit to be, to try to, join any of these associations or to be liked or anything. I'm reporting the information according to how the information is, and I don't just read sources just to regurgitate them. I read sources to cross-reference them with other sources. That's what I do. I don't just read, oh, here goes source right here, and then just read it and say, oh, well, I'm just proving my point. This shit is beyond trying to prove a point. We're trying to go back and find out who we are and where did we come from and what was some of the synonyms or terminologies that we called ourselves. So this ain't about no one trying to be the, head nigga in charge, and no one trying to be like the the scholars are all scholars. We cross-reference the information, and wherever the information we see,
they try to describe some of the indigenous people in the Southeast as being Islamic, Muslim, or Moors, with the way they dress. That's in earlier documents when you go and read shit. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, in 1786, they said 2 Muslim men appeared in Charleston, South Carolina, dressed in Moorish habits. They arose in great deal of suspicion in a strange way, and the officers in the law attempted to question them and found that they were Moors who did not speak English. They were taken to the interpreter to Algiers, sailed to Virginia, where they were being arrested and traveled overland to South Carolina.
See, but even that will go back. That will go back to the Moors, what's the name Act, and then that. And this is what people say.
The Moors Sundry Act, right? The Moors Sundry Act.
So that, but all of that shit is just to me, that's conjecture, because outside of them finding them people there, they're saying other people, more other tribes of Moors, the Anasazi, the Oman, and I'm gonna get into some of that. So let's continue. So to go back with James Chatter, modern, but the oldest people resemble the people of the Pacific Islands. These are Pacific Islanders. This is a Melanesian woman right here from the Solomon Islands. This is a Melanesian man from the Solomon Islands, right? Now, these are what the Australians look like. We know we don't look like them. Now, maybe the two to the left right here or whatever, but this brother right here, I mean, we favor them, but outside of their hair, and some of them having that hard Neanderthal look, we do not favor any of these people, right? These are what the Africans look like.
Listen, what I'm saying is, when we start dealing with the Indian, like when we're dealing with colonialism, and they're trying to classify these people as Indians, right? They're trying to classify these people as Indians. They're also describing and using the term Negro synonymously. You see what I'm saying?
But even the term Negro is the term Negro is the darker hue one from the mixture of the Slavic and the Aborigine. The lighter one will be the mulatto, and the darker skinned one will be called the Negro. This is the reason
Listen,
why.
I'm about to read this real quick, right? Hold on. I don't know why I did that. Okay, let me get into it. Let me know y'all can see my screen. Let me go back to the main thing. Y'all can see it? Okay, cool. Look, it said a serious difficulty was met in the answer. Are you Indian? Under the laws of the 5 tribes or the nations of the Indian territories, persons white in color and feature is frequently an Indian, being so by remote in degree, okay, or blood or by adoption. There are many whites now resident claiming to be Indians who claims have not yet been acted upon by the nation. Negroes are frequently met who speak nothing but Indian languages and are Indian by tribal law, customs, and others are met who call themselves Indians who have not yet been so acknowledged by the tribes. So it's saying only the Negroes are in definitive. They can't even be questioned. They can't even be questioned whether or not they're considered the real Indians upon arrival. In his culture, in his language, in his customs. If you see a motherfucker doing some gardening and you see him fixing houses, you see him building irrigation, and they say that's some Indian shit, but your granddaddy a Negro, that means he doing Indian shit. I mean, he got to be an Indian, just at least by the culture.
Yeah, but that's what I'm trying to say is all of these different synonyms that's being used. And like I said, man, even when it comes to these people saying that when Columbus came over here, or if you believe that story, right? If you even believe the story, because I don't believe the story. I don't believe Columbus was ever able to come on land and do anything over here. This is just a story of them spreading or thinking that they had dominance over you. This goes back to eugenics. This goes back to make one people.
Columbus had 19 Moorish men on his ship. I got the logs. Allegedly, he had 19 Moorish men.
But Columbus would have had to be a nigga. Ain't no.
That's what I'm saying. Ain't no Moorish men. And listen, at minimum, I'm gonna just say it like this. At minimum, he was mixed, a mulatto.
And I'm not even gonna go. I'm not really, honestly. I'm not even gonna play around with the semantics. I'm gonna say that, like, even if you believe that, right? Because when these people came over here, they was posing that they were still connected to the original empire, right? Now this existing empire that's coming from Queen Isabella and Ferdinand, and they're the people who's trying to spread Catholicism and Christianity. But they're posing as if they came from the old existing thing that was over there before they pushed out people who was non-believers of Christianity. They try to apply Christianity to these people. So the people over there who didn't go along with it warred with them. And the ones that lost the war left and came back over here. And then they followed them over here. And when they followed them over here, they came posing like they was the original, like the same inhabitants. We didn't know that these people was coming over here to spread Christianity and Catholicism. We didn't even know that. So if Columbus was able to come on land, it's because he had some of the same. He knew some of the he knew the password. He knew the password to get on land. You understand what I'm saying? But he was posing as enemy combatants, whether he was a melanated copper color individual. See, this is where people get it wrong. Oh, when they kicked the Moors out of Europe in 1492, white people took over. That's bullshit. because even the king of Portugal at that point in time was a Negro. And even when you get in Charles V and all of the people that before Charles V, who was also Montezuma II. So it's like it's a lot of shit with this, man. And it's like none of us is, I'm not saying everybody has the actual truth of anything, because we're still doing investigative work to make it factual. But I'm just saying that this is information that can be that can be clarified and be, you know what I'm saying, and be confirmed, at least at that point in time, whether or not we got the correct understanding of what we saying. This is information that can be verified. We see Charles V on the Montezuma on what's the name that was found in South America. We see him on it. We see Carlos Quinto. Carlos Quinto is Charles V. Carlos Quinto was a Negro. So how's the king of the Holy Emperor, the Holy Roman Empire in 1500s, a goddamn nigga? See, we looking at it from the form of, white people live next to black people today and we all live in harmony. No, it wasn't like that before. These people were servants. They wasn't running nothing. And if you did see some of them, like Isabella was a whore that was pulled out of the harems, and this nigga wifed her. Ferdinand wifed her. She was a Slavic whore that was in the harems, and he wifed her. You understand? This is who Isabella was. No, we don't understand.
So that proves that they were mixed. A lot of these people were mixed.
All of them.
A lot of them.
I'm not saying, AP, I'm not saying a lot of them wasn't mixed. I'm telling you that just because they was mixed, that didn't give them no type of authority. A lot of them people were still slaves, just like you've seen over here. A lot of the so-called mixed people over here were still slaves, unless the person who was the ruler what is the word? Manumission them. That's when they tell you, like, between the house Negro would have been, so you got the melanated man who got a melanated woman that's in the house, and his kids is melanated too, right? But then he also is sleeping with the Slavic. He also sleeping with the slave. So the kids of the slave woman would still be in the field Negroes. And this is where the jealousy and all this shit came from. And this is kind of what led up to a lot of the shit that we see in the Civil War. Okay? I don't know if you ever heard of these people, right? I couldn't find much research on it.
I don't believe the Civil War existed, though. So
it didn't exist. AP, it didn't exist in the way that they telling us. You think all these millions of people died, and then where was they burying these people at? You understand? Me and Chief always talk about this shit. It's something that's used, like it was a war, but it wasn't a war as what they telling us.
Millions of people died in that war. They have thousands of pictures of it.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. So
in 1865, pictures was used quite frequently.
It wasn't that many of them. So it wasn't that many of the Slavs that was part of the Civil War. So it's like, and we ain't like, and even like I said, and I'm gonna go into this late on another day or whatever, I found this.
I really want to go in on the Civil War. I think that's where some of the most confusion happens at.
Yeah, I gotta update my information on that. I ain't touched on that in a long time, but
it's a court battle, and I can prove it.
Yeah, we listen, but part of that is to pretty much free. See, oh man, it's a lot.
See, wars in America has two things, either one or a combination of both, right? A declaration or a treaty. You understand? And the Civil War has neither one. That's just what started it.
That's a fact. That's a fact. There is no, like you said, there is no declaration of war for the Civil War.
And there's no treaty to let me know that it ended.
Exactly. But also, too, like I said, that thing is something dealing with the Slavics to free these people. And the people who backed them was the Rothschilds, right? And their agent, Judah Benjamin, right? That was created.
And Albert Pike, who was a lawyer as well.
Albert Pike and what's the other nigga from Tennessee?
Nathan Bedford Jr.
Okay, Nathan. Now check this out. Hold on, let me see something real quick.
Because they the ones that helped form the Knights of the Golden Circle.
Exactly. So let me see something. Let me go back up because I got all that shit right here.
And Judah Benjamin was actually a Jewish convert and also was a lawyer for a lot of the civilized tribes, the 5 civilized tribes. He was a lawyer, attorney.
I kind of touched on some of these acts. I don't want to go. You can see the screen. So this is Dawes. This is the Dawes role. So it's going to go into some of the information that we talk about or whatever. But these are some of the Dawes Act of 1887. Then you got the Curtis Act of 1898, right? Now check this out. Now I'm just going to read a little bit of this. They kind of like split the heads, right? So the Dawes Act of 1887 and subsequently the Curtis Act of 1898 is saying forcefully allotted communal tribes, lands, and individuals. It's saying severely impacting Black Indians, freemen, and Cherokees, Choctaw, of Chickasaw, Creek, and Seminole nations. It forced these Black tribal members into the United States capitalist land system. Now look, it forced them. So basically what it did was, this is integration. This is some of the first line of integration, right? It's saying often separating them from their tribes while granting them U.S. citizenship. It's saying, but also rejecting them. It's saying to Jim Crow laws and newly formed Oklahoma, right? Now it's a key impact of Black Indians included, right? It's saying forced enrollment. It's saying Black freemen were required to register on Pacific Dog rolls. Now, listen, when you register on the dog rolls, and what are you doing? You becoming a citizen, and now you're giving them jurisdiction over you, because now you're coming into their system. It's saying to receive land allotments, saying process frequently excluded some despite their legal rights within their tribes, right? Now check this out. I got a lot on this, but I'm not going to touch on everything, but let's go into some of this.
Hey man, y'all smack that like button as y'all coming to this Wake and Bake show, man. It's your brother Aboriginal Power, and we got a special guest in here today, the unconscious woman. You already know the vibes. Drop them fire emojis if y'all enjoying y'all morning on the way to doing y'all daily commute. We in here cooking. Big Aboriginal American Indian, indigenous Black Negro history. Yeah, let's get it.
Back to what you were saying, Knights of Golden Circle, right? So it said Knights of Golden Circle research history, archives, engaged only on the historical aspects of authentic order of the Knights of the Golden Circle and its present day impact on society in America. It's saying all things relating to the Knights of Golden Circle. It's saying to restore the Union as it was. It's saying Knights Grand Commander John Robert Blaylor, George Brinkley, John Welcome Booth, okay, John C. Calhoun. Now, John C. Calhoun is the nigga who made the Bureau of Indian Affairs. Right now, it goes down to who else is in there? Nathan Bedford Forrest. Who else is in there? Jesse James and Frank James, who became a Rockefeller. All of these niggas, and all of this shit was being funded from, we could say Rome, right? We could say Rome, because Rome is who controlled the Rothschilds, right? Who created the 1867 United States for America. When they freed these white slaves, they created the United States for America, and they said you could be under that, and we're going to fund you the money to build your own society on this land. Now, but they also use these motherfuckers to war with us and to go back and create havoc within our towns and our system that we had. Now, even with now, it go from this back to what I was just talking about, even with the Dawes rules, all of that is a form of integration. And like I said, you see the key players in it. John C. Calhoun, right? Let me see something. All right, so look, all right, so Knights of Golden Circle was a society in 1854 by John W. L. Brinkley. Its primarily goal was to expand slavery, right, by creating a golden circle that including the southern United States, Mexico, and parts of Central America. Now, check this out, right? Now, when it says to expand the southern United States, meaning integration, right? Integration. Martin Luther King did the first part. The second part, Mexico and Central America. That was the Immigration Act of 1965 to bring these people here to be workers in the work for the system. Right? It said the KGC aimed to establish the slaveholder empire, which would have a significant impact on various groups, including Black Indians. Okay, so all of this shit correlates, right? Let me see something. Bureau of Indian Affairs. Let me see something real quick. Let me see. I don't want to go into this. Matter of fact, let me get established who created the Bureau of Indian Affairs. Let me see. Matter of fact, you know what? Fuck it. Do I need to go over this right now? No, I could save this later. But John C. Calhoun, who was part of the Knights and Golden Circle, Nathan Bedford Forrest, right, who created the KKK, right? Him and what's his name, Pike, because Pike is also in here, right? Albert Pike was part of the Knights and Golden Circle.
Hey, we gotta ask, why did John Calhoun create the Indian Bureau of Affairs, and what was his prior position?
You want to know? Okay. Well, hold up. You want to know that?
Well, no, it's a rhetorical question because he was he was the Secretary of War.
That's right.
That's right.
I thought I had that in here. I was looking for. I thought I had it in here, but real quick, boom. So the Bureau of Indian Affairs said related federal land policy systematically marginalized Black Indians by enforcing blood quantum rules, forcing exclusions from tribal citizenship, particularly for freemen. It's saying and facilitating the loss of land rights. The BIA, previously known as the Office of Indian Affairs, role in 19th, 20th century, often prioritized racial purity standards that stripped descendants of, now I say African American ancestry, but we know who it is, original Aborigines. It's saying of treaty rights and recognition. Key impact of these agencies on Black Indians included exclusion of tribal citizenship in 1890, which I went over a little bit with the Dawes Roll. The United States agents responsible for creating tribal rosters, such as the Dawes Rolls, often separated individuals into citizens. So this is, like I said, this is them trying to get you into their system so that they can have jurisdiction over you, right? It's saying the freemen, this categorization was used later to deny citizenship and to the descendants of people enslaved by the five tribes. It's saying the Cherokee, Choctaw, Creek, Chickasaw, and the Seminole. It's saying even when those descendants had native heritage, land rights and allotments. The allotment policies of 1887, 1934, it's saying enforced by federal agents, right? It's saying sought to divide communal tribal lands. During this progress, Black Indians, particularly those who were formerly enslaved or deemed to have too little blood, were often allotted or given inferior land, removing them from economical benefits or tribal land ownership, right? Now check this out real quick. This is just some fun facts real quick, right? Matter of fact, you know what? I gave you an overall of what that was, right? Let me go back up. I want to show y'all something. Let me see. Where we at? Hold on. I think it's no, it's right here. Let me see something real quick. All right. This is some fun facts real quick right here, right? And actually, boom, I wanted to show you this. This Ottawa W. Gurley, right? Now look, this says Gurley bought 40 acres of the land and built grocery stores over the next decade and a half. Gurley was instrumental in developing the area that would become Greenwood neighborhood of Tulsa. which is also known as Black Wall Street, an incredible successful story of a Black American during a period of hateful racial oppression. It's saying elsewhere in the country. Now, I just want to kind of put that, but it said the residents of Greenwood would be prosperous and live comfortably, seeming in a community with their white neighbors, right? Which is kind of like, some other shit, right? But it said Gurley thrived as well. And its peak, his net worth was about 150,000. It's saying about 5 million in today's money, right? But that's just some fun. I just want to kind of throw that out there. Let me see something. These are some of the first earliest schools. The Creek Seminole College of Boley. Now this is Boley, Oklahoma, right? Now check this out. Say the Creek Seminole College in Boley, which was established around 1906. You still there, AP? Because I can't see the screen.
Yes, I can see it, big bro.
Okay, all right. It said in 1914. It said after the college building burned down, he moved the school to Clearview. It said and reopened it in 1916 as a Creek Seminole Agricultural College. It said in 1917, a letter to Oklahoma Governor Robert L. Williams, which was a nigger. It said Leftwich claimed to have modeled the college on the Tuskegee plan, and noted that the campus had 5 concrete block buildings on 92 acres. He also claimed an allotment of 220 students and a facility of 10. They said by 1919, Leftwich had sold Clearview campus to a Baptist church and reopened the Booker T Agriculture and Mechanical College. Now it's in Ofoskee County. In 1926, Sam White, an instructor of Booker T, is saying shot and killed Leftwich. It's saying probably over a money dispute. But we already know that probably was some cracker that paid them so that they can overthrow the shit. But it said by 1920, the Baptists relocated the Creek Seminole Agriculture College from Clearview to Okmulgee. Now, Okmulgee, we see that a lot. Okmulgee, we see that area a lot in the Sir Solomon Jones film. Now, this is strictly in Oklahoma at this point in time, right? It's saying and renamed the Southwest Creek and Seminole Baptist College. All right, so that's just one college that we had. This is another one. This is the Tallahassee Manual Labor School, and this was in 1891. You see all these Negroes, the buildings right here. Okay, this is another thing I wanted to touch on, right? Now, I say historical all Black towns of Oklahoma, right? It said early towns established before 1880, right? That's the Tallahassee. It said Marshalltown, Norfolk color, Canadian color, Arkansas color, right? Now it's saying, check this out. Now this is the bullshit that got to go over your head. It said African Americans who settled in Oklahoma established more than 50 identifiably all Black towns between the end of the Civil War in 1920. It's saying this number is unparalleled in any other region in the United States. Most of the town were developed in Indian territory by freedmen. It's saying those formerly enslaved. Now that's all bullshit because we know this is a story that they telling. Okay, all of them towns when they show you the Sir Solomon Jones film was all on Indian territory, and the Indians are the people who lived there. Now they re-narrating these stories to make you think that we was the ones enslaved and we got out slave and we somehow we just knew how to be industrious and create all these towns and go right into business. How do people who was enslaved learn all of this within a 30-year time span, which some of it's not even 30 years, could say 1880. If you got out of slavery in 1865, how in 15 fucking years you able to build towns and build all of these establishments? Because they was already there. You understand? So it's like, like I said, it's a lot of stuff that they throw out there that they confuse you because it's their literature and we believe it. It's their literature. You understand what I'm saying? It's their literature. But check this out, right? Now, this is just the estimate, right? Now, it tells you, it said how many people were here before Columbus, right? Now, this is an estimate of what they were saying, right? These are the numbers right here, right? It's saying the Americans in 1492, right? It's saying nearly all scholars estimate in the New World, 1492 population but fall between the counts of two anthropologists, right? The counts of two anthropologists. One is Alfred Kober. It's saying in 1934, his estimate was 8.4 million, right? And then you got Henry Dobbin, which in 1966, his estimate was 112 million people throughout the Americas, right? And you see right here in the area where we at, it says right here just on the southeast coast, they said was 37 million people on the southeast coast. Then Midland, where the Mississippi at, they said was 13,500,000 people right here, just on the East Coast. So from the Mississippi all the way to the southeast, northeast shores, they saying it was over 51 million people just in this area alone right here. And they telling you that they killed all them people off? Go figure that. Go figure that. Let me go down some. I'll get to the point where AP started at. You still there, AP, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So I'm just jumping around because this is a big I got 400 slides on this one. Now, these are some of the individuals that they found. And this is interesting. I couldn't find much research on this, but this is just some of the information I got. So these are the Akus, the Makaya tradition, the Aboriginal American, 2,000 years before the Olmec. Okay? Now, they was living in Anquil, Sudan. The Timala is a city in Mexico. Okay? Tells you a little bit about them. It's saying the earliest culture founded by blacks in Mexico was the Mayakaya tradition. The Mayakaya tradition was situated on the Pacific coast of Mexico. All right, so Socar Nusco, it's saying regions. All right, it's saying the village life began as early as 2000 BC. All right. So this is just some additional information. I couldn't find a lot of information on it, but I felt like it was something good to just archive just until I could find some more information going forward. You know what I'm saying? Or as I do my research, because a lot of times that's how it is. I'll be looking for one thing, and the universe will say, "Here, A1, take this, put this." You know what I'm saying? Archive this as well. All right. So it's saying often written about Black Aborigines, right? Quotation, Native Americans like the Akus, but the Olmec came directly. Now they say, but the Olmec came directly from Africa, which we know that is bullshit. The Olmec did not come from Africa because the reason where they said the Olmec came from, they wasn't building no fucking pyramids, or did they have Olmec heads? That's just the kind of make you think that, you know, these people that came here, right? These people that came, the reason you see black people here is because they had to come from somewhere. They're not a tauntaun. That's why I went all on to the Albert Perry shit. We went into even Luzia and Naya that goes back tens of thousands of years. You know, the shit that they found in the Caribbean. All of this shit predates the Olmecs even coming in. So we already see it's been niggas here. So why would it be so far-fetched that the Olmecs will be here too? We don't see no evidence of wherever the Olmecs came from in Africa. We see no evidence of that. No evidence of that, right? Now, I didn't want to get all into, you know, these are just some of the areas where where some of the ancient, the Mayans, the Olmecs, the Zapotecs, the Toltecs, etc. Right? We don't need to we already kind of touched on some of this shit. Let me see something. Look at your boy though. That's your boy right there, AP.
El Negro Zepotes.
Mm-hmm.
President Zepotes.
That's a fact, right?
In Veracruz.
In Veracruz, right? I don't need to get on because I'm gonna touch on some of this when I do my build. I'm just kind of jumping around, but I went over some of this shit too right here.
And by the way, people just don't understand. Go back to that image because you can't. I'm gonna just give some dynastics to it. These are colossal sculptures, high relief carving, colossal. Like the picture doesn't do any justice. You got to see a person next to this image. You got to see a person in this image. It'd be very small. An average 6 foot person will look very teeny. These are colossal sculptures.
That's a fact, right? And anybody who's seen a bill, you know I kind of went in. I'm jumping around right now, but I kind of went in on a lot of this shit. Let me see something. All right. No, I ain't gonna touch on that. I'll touch on that another time. These are some other skeletons that was found, or not skeleton, but the pottery figurines, right? Look, there you go, right there.
Mm-hmm. I just recently seen some images of some Olmecs with dreads and wraps tied around their head. Olmec, man, this shit crazy.
He jumping the gun. Look, he got the Afro pick that they found in South America, or Central, or listen, North America is really Central America. The Yucatan Peninsula connected. The Yucatan Peninsula.
Central America is pretty much North America, right? All that's pretty much the same.
Exactly, Central America, or where the Yucatan Peninsula was part of whatever that was flourishing in Florida, right? Whatever was flourishing in Florida went from that because they found Mayan artifacts in Florida. And they also said that, you know, if you want to kind of go, because if you turn it upside down, right? If you turn it upside down, north is south and south is north, right? And they would tell you that the Yamasi and the Timucuans and all that came from the descendants of the Olmec and the Mayas. They just went into them regions later on, right? Some more Mayan artifacts. Shout out to my brother, King of America, man. He sent me a lot of these artifacts because he collected a lot of the artifacts. And he definitely sent me a lot of he helped me out with some of the artifacts that I put into this particular PowerPoint. So like me, like I told you, I give credit to everybody. I'm not sitting up in here like I'm just like I don't study and I don't get research. I don't have people who send me stuff or whatever that I can use. So definitely shout out to everybody that, you know, I build with that do send me information, and I send them information as well. So this is how the shit's supposed to be. We supposed to help each other. If you got something, then I got something to pass on. You know what I'm saying? So these some more images. And you see some of them have bald heads. This motherfucker right here look like Professor Small. The nigga in the middle right there. But he run around telling people he African, right?
Right. Nah, we listen, man. We gonna give y'all that real wake up, real Indian, Aboriginal, Indigenous heritage. So all my FBAs and my black brothers that's listening, dive into your lineage, dive into your heritage. You want to get that real history of where you are, is right here. You ain't gotta look 5,000 miles away in the land that you ain't even come from, family.
Exactly. And that's why, like, even when you see the locks on his brother on the right, right? You see the locks on the brother right there, right? Them locks resemble the locks you see in Florida, because the people in Florida got them thick locks, right? Now, they want you to think that them locks came from the Caribbean. No, the locks also was here in North America. This is what you see, the Mayans. And locks is just a hairstyle that was all through the Amavo. You know what I'm saying? As I'm gonna show in a minute. This is an Olmec, back of the Olmec head. These niggas, what's your man name that be with what's the name, Y2K and YK and all them niggas, the nigga Sean. I went back and forth with this nigga. He don't want to debate me though. I will smash him.
Yeah, he's scared as fuck to debate. He's really terrified. He's a weenie.
He is. And he want to go
He's
back.
a little weenie, man. He ain't nothing.
We already just seen these images, the Mayan culture. I kind of touched on it. I just don't feel like reading all this shit right now or whatever. The locks, we see the locks, right? And then we go down here, we see more locks, right? Right? We see more locks. Now look, we see these images. Lady got locks.
These are Olmecs too, by the way.
Mm-hmm. And it says, look, the Mayan, it said the Maya, it said a group of indigenous people of Mesoamerica. The ancient Mayan civilization was formed by members of this group. It said today Maya are generally descendants from people who live within the historical region. They inhabit Mexico, Guatemala, Belize. It's saying westernmost of El Salvador and Honduras, right? Now these are ancient this is an Afro-Mexican, right? This is the Afro-Mexican, right? These are Afro-El Salvadorians in this image. It's kind of dark, you can't see it, but these are some of the images, right? These are Afro-Belize people, right? These are Afro-Guatemalans, right? And these are Hondureans, right? Let me see something. Studying the Hustek people. You ever heard of them before, AP? These images come from the
I ain't never heard of them niggas.
It's a Mesoamerican classic period. It says it's when many complex and sophisticated societies develop, flourish, is what is now Mexico and northern Central America. The latest discovery was made on the grounds occupied by the Hustek people. They're saying who arrived in the area of southern Tamaulipas. They're saying sometime between 1500 and 900 BC, according to experts who analyzed the archaeology records. This distant cousin of the Mayans branched out from the origins of settlements in as far as northeast corner of modern day Mexico and headed southwards, ultimately occupying expansive areas of land down the coast of the Gulf of Mexico and further inland, right? So these are some more images of them right here. All of these images that we've been seeing are of these people right here, right? But then I kind of went into the Aztec. I ain't gonna go all into that. The Aztec. Went to some more. These are more of the Aztecs, the ones we see or whatever. We know Montezuma was an Aztec. You see the buildings and shit behind them. Now check this out. So it says skin tone and hair texture, right? It said the Aztec, like most pre-Columbian people before them, had skin coloring from the range of light brown to dark brown. The skin color is similar to other, now I say Native Americans, but we already know Native Americans, the ones that some of them that are mixed, right, have dark skin, but they're really referring to the Aborigines or the Autochtons, right? Likewise, right? They said they appear to have darker skin tones compared to lighter skin conquistadors. However, according to historians, the expert skin color depends on the tribe and the person. It says some of them say that the Aztec was deeply toned olive skin. Now we know olives only come in 3 colors. We know these motherfuckers wasn't green. We know olives come in green, brown, and black. Okay, it's saying which some call bronze. It said the facial features of the Aztec similar to Native Americans of today, with most of the records destroyed. Many experts rely on sculptures, paintings, and codexes to determine what the Aztecs look like. They said from all accounts, they have hair, they have black hair, brown skin, and broad faces, almond shaped black and brown eyes. Okay. It says, and it's saying from the outer corners and prominent noses. However, the Aztec practiced body modifications or body alteration. All right, so that's that. I mean, it's a lot of shit I got on this right here. I don't really want to go into all of it. Them are some of the codexes. Now, these are codexes that they say that these people were dressed like Muslims. Jumped over that shit. All right. These are some of the sculptures, some more of the pottery figures that they found. Whatever. That's the book that's the book right here, the Temple of Warriors. It's a Yucatan. That's where these images came from. Right. I kind of didn't want to go into all this. Right. But just to touch on this, Carlos Chavez Marquez, the studies of archaeologists and ethno whatever ethno. I always get this fucking word wrong, but you guys understand. And this is matter of fact. You know what? Let me see something. Let me see. But this is the one he said that the earliest Negro sculptures was found from Mexico all the way to. Matter of fact, let me read it. It's in corresponding descriptions. We have already noted the statues figure 13 and 14, very ancient appearance, and represented the unique attributes of characteristic features of the Negro type, and faithfully reproduced. It's a significant fact that is not unique in America, and that is repeated in the oldest Mexican sculptures. Some of the great Doric heads of the higher pine, it's saying, and in the gigantic acts of Veracruz, which, it's saying, with which especially one of the mentioned statues presents great analogs. It's saying, do not concordant facts means that in ancient time America was occupied by black people. Okay. So, you can go on ancient, unexpected faces of ancient America. I don't want to kind of go all into that. That kind of tells you all this shit or whatever. But there's a lot, man. There's a lot of information like over the years that I've seen that can kind of like show you that America was a Negro and still is a Negro continent. Okay, now these are some of and I don't understand even with Jack Forbes, because even with Jack Forbes, I kind of look at that he was kind of like playing both sides. He was kind of saying that the reason you see Negroes here is because they came from Africa and mixed in. But his so-called, the images on his book, right, is a portrait of a Inca nobleman and his sons. Okay. And this is in the South America. No, this is actual in the London Museum. But these images are of Incas, and this is how they was dressed. You understand what I'm saying? So why if he know that these images was Incas that was in South America or Central America or whatever, why would he even go into his spill of trying to make these people so-called slaves? Because these niggas ain't no slaves with no gold and all the shit on their faces and noses. Okay? So, I mean, like I said, it's a lot of information. And I'm only on let me see something. I want to get into that part where AP was talking about. Matter of fact, you know what? I can kind of touch on this. This is your boy, Seeker. How you pronounce his name, AP?
Truth Churchill.
On the screen.
Oh, brother say cool. Brother say cool.
Say cool. Exactly.
Yeah, shout out to him. Shout out to OG.
So, yeah. So this is Yamasi. So you say cool, right? So he said court records prove that native identities literally changed from Indian to Negro to mulatto. They said others from a simple claim by white citizens attempting to put an Indian into servitude, which become clear, became clear was that the calculated use of the word Negro on certain Carolina natives, and when the word slave has been used or researched, it applied to Indians as well. He said, so be careful of thinking just because you found a relative that was identified as a slave that he was of African descent. Okay. So, and then, like I said, I already got the Negro slavery and all that shit in here. The Indian slavery. I just ain't go over. I just skipped over it because I kind of don't believe that shit neither. Like, it's a lot of stuff. I just kind of don't believe that shit because even in South America, I mean, not South America, but South Carolina had one of the largest areas to where so-called black slave owners was. Virginia, Maryland, South Carolina, and Louisiana.
Louisiana, right.
You understand what I'm saying? So it's like, what are we talking about here? Are the Negro slave owners enslaving Indians when the Negro slave owners are Indians? What are we talking about? How do we have all this Indian slavery in South Carolina when the largest population of slave owners was black in South Carolina? It makes no sense.
Right.
So I think that when they go ahead.
No, I'm just saying though, because the population says the Negroes, and they got them on the census records as Indians directly before that. And then when we get into the slave records, it talks about pale skin. So it seems like they done gave us a whole twisted reversion of history, big bro. I gotta get the hell up out of here. I gotta make a run. I gotta get out of here by 11.
No doubt. Let me get up out of here.
But no, definitely, man, we got to put together some heat and cook for them, man. I got so much shit, and I see you got an overload of shit.
Yeah, I mean, that was I think 170 on slides, but definitely, man, shout out to everybody, man. Definitely, shit, man. I wasn't expecting to do no build this morning.
Hey, you know how it is when we cooking on the wake and bake. I really wasn't planning on doing it either. I just woke up and did this shit.
Yeah, definitely, man. Yeah.
So shout out to everybody that's in the building.
Definitely. Shout out to everybody in the chat room too, man.
And shout out to you, big bro. When you came in cooking,
yeah, I mean, you know how it is, man. You know, like every now and then I could throw one together. Shit, I have work.
Yeah, I know it's been a minute. You got your
Saturday and
stream
Sunday, man. I work like 30 hours, man.
Nah, y'all already know you be getting it in, man. But yeah, man, I appreciate you. I'm gonna hit your phone too later on after a while if you ain't doing shit. But yeah, man.
And yeah, a lot. Go ahead.
No, you good. You good. Go ahead.
No doubt, man. Peace of God. Yeah, peace of the gods, peace of the goddesses. I just wanted to say that I hear a lot of people in these FBA forums regurgitating a lot of our information. Like, you know, we've been talking about the inventions. We then did the whole Indian encyclopedia. We can cross-reference all of them so-called inventions from now from then into now. And we can see what they use, and all of the shit that these people that use came from us. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to the FBAs, but guess what? To be an FBA, you have to be an autochton, to be a real one that came from the foundation. I'm not foundational. I literally sprung from the foundation itself. You understand? I was grafted from the soils of the Americas. So, you know, shout out to the autochtons, you know, but FBAs, y'all don't have to y'all gonna have to speed up, and y'all gonna have to solidify your existence into America. Foundational is one thing, but to be an autochthon and to be an aboriginal first from time of existence is a whole nother thing. So peace of gods is peace of the autochtons, peace of the aborigines, peace of the Moors, peace of the Indians, peace of the FBAs, man. So with that being said, it's your brother Hano Kiel, aka A1, aka Thompson's one with your brother AP, aka Denzel, right? AKA Denzel. And you know, we gave you a little something, man, to go with off, you know what I'm saying, just for the rest of your day or whatever, man. Definitely, man. And you know what? They shadow banning you too, AP.
Yeah, I'm bad.
Shadow banning, bro.
Matter of fact, give me a quick share when you jump off of here. Give this motherfucker a quick share, fam. Tell him.
Definitely shadow ban. You definitely supposed to be doing around 4,000 views. I don't know what the fuck going on, bro. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, my shit twisted. Yeah, it's the
even with the FBAs, man, because you know they getting the bastardized. Like I heard Tariq Nasheed regurgitate. I heard Tariq Nasheed talking about Indians not taxed, my nigga. Like it's only a few people who was talking about that, and I'm definitely one of them. You know what I'm saying? So where he's getting this from is other people coming on and giving him information. But you know, for him to really catch up, he gonna have to put his ego aside and have Big AP have him on there so he can give this nigga a real historical lesson. Because Tariq Nasheed is another regurgitator. He regurgitates shit that he get, and he don't know how to cross-reference it and put it into his proper perspective. He say certain sources and regurgitate them, but I don't think he totally even understands this stuff. So peace of the gods, man. Peace of gods, man. With that being said, it's your brother A1. I'm out of here, man. Peace of gods. Peace.
Man, peace to everybody in the building, man. Be safe, be aware, stay vigilant, stay dangerous. You already know the vibes. We out of here.
Keys on the track, on the track, on the track, on the track, on the track.
For the stats, I be beating the odds. In the blood, it be making me calm. Ride the turbines just like I'm Saddam. I'ma blow up just like I'm a bomb. I'ma leave it.